Chapter 221. Here we are. Welcome to Dry Rock. Isaac turns to the open area of desolate sandy flatland in front of the Red Mountain Range. Immediately after he speaks these words, I feel the space around me begin to tingle and buzz. The air before my eyes waves and shifts, giving off a rainbow hue, almost like the rippling sensation of a heat wave. But there's definitely some kind of mana-powered illusion at play here. I activate my all-seeing eye and everything becomes clear, literally. A dome of transparent magic covers an entire city in the middle of the desert. It's nearly 1 kilometer wide, stretching all the way to the base of the mountains and completely hiding over 100 buildings in plain sight. Smaller huts similar to the ones in the last village we just left line the streets. But there are many taller buildings made from the same color stone as the mountains in the background. There are 3, 4, and even 5-story structures with modern windows and metal frames to them. There are flat stone streets that divide merchants from residential areas. People line the roads, buying and selling goods, while the occasional city guard walks by to keep order. This looks like a much more civilized city than I expected to see. Without my perception skill, this would have been invisible to the naked eye. I shut it off, then look at my teammates. They're all still staring in awe at the twisting rainbow light in front of us. It looks like a portal is opening, but I know that's not the case. The smaller man that Isaac talked to before we entered walks in front of us, toward the light as it begins to expand. He taps the source of the illusion with a silver object and a small gap in the transparent seal opens. The hole gets larger and larger until it stops to make a 5-meter wide gate in the illusion magic to show us the city with our unaided eyes. As we walk through on our camels, the gate monitor speaks up, as the wobbling entrance of rainbow-tinted magic slowly fades shut. Enjoy your stay at Dry Rock. Hope your business dealings go well. The concealment magic completely closes, but we can still see the man standing outside behind it. He stares forward with a blank expression for a moment, then smiles to himself and turns away, walking back to his small tent like nothing happened. I look at him curiously for a moment. Then Isaac turns to me. He can't see us now. I raise an eyebrow, but Isaac continues before I get a word in. If you were wondering, he can't see us anymore. This barrier is a one-way illusion. It's pretty heavily guarded. I've just known that guard since I was a young kind. He's one of the only exceptions to security. I nod slowly as I hear the camel's feet below me transfer from the soft sand onto a hard road beneath us. I reply while keeping my face hidden under the red clock, looking around the town. That makes sense. I got it. I activate my all-seeing eye again, but the only reading I pick up are the various collections of mana crystals in shops. The massive mana-imbued barrier around the city is the only high-density magic I can sense. I mutter under my breath, squinting at the fire user. There's no breaks anywhere near here. I quickly lock eyes with Abby, but she gives me a shrug while Ari also extends a confused but relaxed expression. The green-haired mage speaks up. Oh, we're definitely in their right place. He didn't lead us astray. There should be breaks here. I scratch my chin as I keep following Isaac through the emptier streets of the outer area of the town. Then what happened to them? Eventually, we hit a much busier street. The 5 of us begin leading our ride through one of the open market squares. There are all kinds of items being bought and sold from level E-class to high D, and even low C-class rated items. They're all mostly protection items and crafting materials. Combat items aren't too common out on these streets, but I still spot a few dozen shields and swords. Lush greens and ripe fruit along with glimmering potions and mana crystals fill my vision for over 200 meters as we walk through town. Kids playing by their parents' merchant carts look up at us, pausing their games to admire the camels that strut through town. No one has said a word yet, and most people ignore us just like regulars in the streets. There are other groups coming from other directions on camelback as well, so we're not too far out of place here. The 4 of us keep our heads down and faces covered anyways. Isaac leads without covering up. Finally, we come across one of the tallest buildings in the city. Isaac waves us down to stop about 1 block away from a 5-story tower. It's made of red bricks and blue glass windows. It looks newly built and of great quality. The base is nearly 20 meters wide. It stands out from all the buildings surrounding it. All right, here's the quest office. Wait for me outside. I'll accept our 2 break quests and be right out in a minute. I grit my teeth and instantly combat his statement. Hey, we're still the ones in charge here. I'd like to see what all of this is about. He rolls his eyes and hops off his ride, tying it to a rock structure on the side of the road. I hop down too, giving Maria the reins and walking over to the fire wielder. He stares me in the eyes and leans in, whispering in a low tone. You know, this building is one of the Dark Continent's unofficial government hubs. It's like the association, but for the Wall's insiders. Basically, you're walking into enemy territory. It'd be unwise to show your face in here, especially as one of these so-called elites. That's what you are, right? I swallow hard, still staring at him with a stern expression, then begin to lighten up. I close my eyes for about a second, then open them to stare at Isaac with a calmer tone. That makes sense. I pause, then turn to my team. Stay back for a few minutes out of sight. Isaac and I will return shortly. They all agree without a shred of doubt, but Isaac looks at me like I'm crazy. Struggling not to raise his voice, he speaks again through a clenched jaw as I start walking forward towards the quest office. Did you not hear a word I just said? I wave for the fire user to follow, keeping my head down and activating conceal. I turn my status into what looks like a mid-level D-class swordsman at level 220, taking off all of my stat-boosting items as well, only to leave the red cloak of protection giving me a 100+ defense boost. I use my special grade concealment attribute to disguise my face. I shift it to a generic tan-skinned, brown eyes, middle-aged, black-haired man. I look like I could be any villager picked off the street. The only thing I won't change is my voice, but I don't plan on doing much talking. I respond to Isaac with my head still down. Yeah, I heard you the first time. You make an excellent point. It'll be fine, I have a plan. The fire user catches up to me in silence. Then we turn to face the front side of the tall building. He begins to say something to me but is cut off by one of the workers standing by the front door. He's a tall, very skinny, dark-skinned man in a professional-looking black suit. I see a bright smile from him as he speaks up, looking right past me. Welcome back, Isaac. We haven't seen you here in Dry Rock in quite a while. Are you looking to pick up some new quests? The grunt straightens his posture and takes a step back from me to greet this worker. Oh, good to see you too. Long time no see. I was just passing through. I thought it'd be a good idea to check out the guest guild. Old habits die hard. He laughs, shaking the worker's hand and continuing, now in a much more confident tone. You know, this is where I got my start. It's always nice to come back and see how much the place has grown. Are there any good new quests up for grabs? I'm looking for some tough ones before I leave in the morning. The tall man grins and nods slowly. Of course, we always have new quests available. He turns to me. And who might you be? He stretched out his right hand, looking me in the eye. I stare tight back, using inspect and appraisal. I only glance at his level and skills before shaking his hand with a firm hold. LV 297. Active skills. Inspect. Special grade. Body hardening. Special grade. I clench my jaw and squeeze his hand a bit harder than I mean to when I see he has a special grade inspect skill. The guard winces, and I reply as we both step back from each other. Sorry about that. I can't control my own excitement sometimes. Just looking forward to some quests, that's all. He lets out a nervous laugh, then stands up straight with a smile, flustered at my strength. No problem at all. Quite a firm handshake for a D-class. You must have an extremely high natural strength aptitude. I'm impressed. He turns back to Isaac, giving him a firm nod, then opening the heavy brown wooden front door. Well, I see why you're heading off for some quests. I can't keep a man from his business for too long. Please don't let me keep you waiting. Isaac smirks, walking past the guard. Yep, appreciate it. Good to see ya. I follow quietly, speaking to the man in a suit in a low voice before Ether door shits behind me. Nice to meet you. He waves us through, not saying another word. I gulp. That was awkward. Click. The door shuts and I step inside onto a smooth white floor. Immediately, the sound of abundant chatter fills my ears. There are hunters, businessmen, workers, and casual villagers going about their daily business. I lift my gaze, shifting my eyes left and right. There are quests on the walls just like the Mercenary Guild. The ones here just seem to be a bit more ordered and much easier to read. There are basic mana crystal quests, various magic crafting items, escort missions, hunting gear, and even food and water requests. All of the prices are a bit more stable, not varying as much as the smaller town's erratic pricing. I continue to scan the room, then my eyes land on a troubling sight. There's one bulletin board near the entrance that makes my stomach drop. It's a wall with large newspapers showing the faces of familiar-looking association hunters. Some look very old, like they've been on the wall for years, but sticking out like a sore thumb, I see for brand new papers. It's the newest Vice Region Association Elite Squad in bold letters with all 4 of our mugshots posted and bounties labeled underneath them. It looks like our dealings in Dry Rock are not going to be as easy as I thought they'd be. Chapter 222. It's the newest Vice Region Association Elite Squad in bold letters with all 4 of our mugshots posted and bounties labeled underneath them. Our time in Dry Rock is not going to be as easy as I thought it'd be. I turn to Isaac, now peeking my disguised face out from my hood. Hey, I need to check these out. He stares for a second but recognized my voice. The fire wielder looks me up and down, then mutters under his breath. You really are full of surprises. I turn left to walk over to the wall with our posted bounties to take a closer look. Next to our pictures, there are notes and prices for our heads. Abigail Sotoro, 10 gold, dead or alive. Known Association Associate. New Vice Region Elite Squad Member.
Healer và Out Magic User.
Maria Cortez, 7 gold, dead or alive. New Vice Region Elite Squad Member. Ice Magic User. Jay Soju, 7 gold, dead or alive. New Vice Region Elite Squad Member. Swordsman/dagger wielder Va Fire Magic User. Ari, 8 gold, only alive. New Vice Region Elite Squad Member. Bow/dagger wielder. I get a chuckle out of Abby's full name. Sometimes I forget she is usually referred to as Abigail in more professional settings, but it must have slipped my mind. She's the most wanted because she's been with the association the longest. Maria and I have lower rates and only have basic details that are noted in the association system. Most likely these are what have been publicly shared, considering we're the new elites. I should get around to reading the paper again. It's a habit I broke once I started hunting more. Aries' poster stands out as well. He's marked down for 1 more gold than Maria and I, plus he's only wanted alive. The rest of us have no preference marked down. I scan the posters back and forth, taking in as much information as possible. Then I hear the fire user gulp behind me. He whispers in a low tone, "Can all your friends do that same trick with their faces? Because it looks like the bunch of you are going to need it." I pause, then finally look away from the posters and back to Isaac. They can't, it's a special item. I only have one. We'll just have to lay low and hope no one's examining us too carefully. I let out a sigh, knowing this is far from optimal in a time like this, but I'll just have to think of a better plan before we have to meet any people face to face. I get a nervous look from the grunt, but he just nods, then turns to the back of the room. Well, figure it out soon. This is getting way too complicated for me. Come on, let's accept the quests and get out of here. He starts to walk over and I follow. We approach a long wooden counter at the back of the room, polished beautifully, with 3 quest office workers standing behind it about 2 meters apart from each other. They're all smiling and keeping a professional aura about them, Then the one on the far right raises his hand. I can help the two of you over here. I let Isaac take the lead, keeping myself right behind him to let the man more used to this place do the talking. It'd be pretty obvious I'm new to town if I tried to ask for the quests myself. So I decide not to say a word. Immediately, they begin to talk. The two of them babble on about some changes in the capital, then switch to that same language I'm unfamiliar with before the man behind the counter pulls out 2 sheets of paper. I peer over the counter as Isaac signs the bottoms and takes them, folding each in half before throwing them in his item box. Midtown Break, 7 gold. Red Mountain Break, 15 gold. Each of the papers has crossed out numbers for their rewards. Each of them started out at 1 and 2 gold respectively, but it seems they've been raising the number over and over. My wandering eyes move back to the floor as the two of them continue talking. Isaac switches back to the language I can understand. Thanks. We'll head out tomorrow and clear 'em both. The quest office employee gives him a thin smile but replies professionally. Best of luck, Isaac. We hope to see you soon. Both of us leave the office building immediately. I can see a look of concern on the fire user's face, but don't say anything until we walk out the door and make our way around the corner out of sight. The sun is starting to set, and the orange light from the sky is shining down on us. So, we got the quests. What's with the look? What else did that guy say? His eyes shift back and forth, still not saying a word as we walk. I gulp and go along with his odd behavior. Both of us have quick, steady footsteps and controlled breathing. The taps of our boots on the stone road are all I hear as I ponder what exactly they talked about. He speaks up as my 3 teammates finally come into sight. He said, "Many hunters from surrounding towns have been trying to clear these breaks all week. That's why the reward for the quests has gone up so much. No one can clear them." I nod slowly. "All right, that's good, right? More money for you." He pauses, and the silent footsteps continue for a few seconds. He also mentioned a group of 2 elite hunters that came by a few days ago. A white-haired ice mage and a blue-haired water wielder. Apparently, they're fairly new elites. I raise an eyebrow as Isaac continues. They showed their faces here before heading off in the direction of Solara without clearing a single break. They caused a ruckus in town, though. Those 2 your friends. I think for a moment, but he cuts me off before I can even begin to respond. Either way, it doesn't matter. All the hunters in town are on high alert for more association lackeys. The bounty rewards are sky high. I give Isaac a stern look as sweat rolls off his forehead. "We have a deal," he replies. "Hey, I know. I won't run. I'm sure I couldn't even if I tried on your watch. To just be extra cautious. All right?" I nod as we come within 10 meters of my teammates. "Got it. Appreciate the warning." Maria is the first to spot us, throwing her hands up in the air. I deactivate my conceal skill as we approach but keep my head down. Nothing has changed. We planned on not being seen at all in the first place. I'm just feeling a bit more paranoid now than before. There are dozens of posters up on the walls, and the Vice region is one of the furthest from the Dark Continent. So, it's doubtful anyone has our faces completely memorized. At the same time, it's not impossible. Both of us quickly walk over and hop back on our rides. Isaac starts to leave immediately and I motion for us to follow. We swiftly follow in silence. Ari whispers under his breath as we head toward the outskirts of town in the opposite direction we just came. "What's with the change of tone? Did everything go okay?" I give him a thumbs up, tightening my lips, then responding in a hushed voice. "It's fine. Business as usual, just they have our faces from the newspaper plastered all over. Each of us has a bounty." The archer's eyes widen and Abby clicks her tongue, cursing under her breath. Maria holds me tighter from behind, and I explain all the details in a low whisper as we ride through a new part of town. I relay everything that happened inside and enlighten them on their bounty prices and details. The larger buildings, merchant stands, and storefronts are getting less and less common as we continue forward off to the far side of town. The sun sets more and the natural light fades away too. Smaller homes and poorly built residential areas made of less modern materials become more abundant. Most passers-by seem friendly enough, but it's certainly a different vibe than the city center we just left. People are minding their own business even more out here, looking to the ground and staying out of trouble. I speak up to Isaac, guiding the way. "Hey, where are you taking us?" He points straight ahead, then turns to respond. "We're almost there, don't worry. I know a quiet place for us to crash for the night. Coincidentally, it's right near the break." Well, that's what the Quest office worker told me at least. "We're headed to Midtown." I immediately respond. The break's nearby? How? There would be monsters everywhere." "No." Isaac shrugs and turns forward again. "Your guess is as good as mine. All we can do is head over and find out." Chapter 223. Your guess is as good as mine. All we can do is head over and find out. This is the response I get after asking Isaac how the dungeon break could possibly be nearby when there are no monsters in sight.
Primer cant sense any mana disturbances austriae.
I'm pretty positive the barrier around this city isn't interfering with my senses either. It's a high-level D-class spell at best. There's no way it's messing with my mind. We continue through the underdeveloped section of town, and I murmur to myself while watching the sun completely set over the horizon. Impossible! This break is a mid-tier C-class break, minimum. The association wouldn't have sent us out here if it was any lower, and someone from the town would have surely taken it out themselves by now. So many things aren't adding up. The fatigue of our long travels today is catching up to me too. My mind is getting a bit foggy and my body is more tired than usual. I scratch my chin, thinking about it, but become distracted as troches begin to light our way and the buildings around us get much larger and shinier again. There are 2, 3, and even 4-story shops and guild centers that start to pop up in the road beneath our camels' feet. Has a much more sturdy feel to it as we walk through this portion of the city. It's only been a few minutes and there's already a drastic change in architecture and neighborhood layouts. We approach a wide-open square with many people out on the streets continuing to go about their nights trading, cooking, laughing, and sharing conversation with one another. From what I can piece together in my fractured view of the city's layout, there are 3 sections to this 1-kilometer-wide circular city. The main square where we entered today. That's the portion of the city with a high-density area of merchant shops, guilds, government buildings, and housing for those that work there. The portion of the city we just walked through seems to be a lower-income area. Not quite the slums, but much more independent housing and rogue hunters that make their money elsewhere or off a black market of sorts. That's my guess anyways. Now, lastly, the 3rd sector of this city is the one we've just entered. It looks much smaller than the other 2, but very clean, well-built, higher income, and there's not as much worry in these streets as the ones we just left. Buildings are mostly rectangular, made from either the same red brick that the office building in the main part of town was, or a lighter-colored stone similar to the hue of the desert sand. Most of the cloth and clothing used for decorations and clothing are the same red as the cloaks we're wearing. My gaze shifts back and forth, taking in the view of the small town as Isaac takes us on a sharp right turn instead of walking through the center square. I catch a glimpse of a crowd, but can't make out what they're surrounding in the center of the courtyard-like town center. He turns around as we make our way down a more narrow, but well-lit back road. This is Midtown. Believe it or not, I lived here for a few years back in the day. Come on. The inn I usually stay at is right over here. At this point in the day, my eyes are practically closing. The thought of a nice warm bed is slowly becoming much more important in my mind than the fact that there's a near B-class level threat somewhere nearby. We come across a generic red-bricked residential building with a man standing outside that takes our camels to the back of the inn. He hands us a small black token to fetch our rides whenever we'd like. They'll feed, water, and take care of them in our absence. I give Isaac a handful of silver to check us in using his name, and we all go to our rooms and pass out without much delay. Today was a long day. We took out an entire dungeon break, traveled tens of kilometers across the desert, and successfully infiltrated a town that we're wanted criminals in. The woman at the front desk pays us no mind and accepts the silver with a smile. She offers us a meal at the bar in the back. I decline and head off to my room as soon as Isaac tosses me a key. I'm too tired to even eat. Most of my teammates share the same thought and say no to the woman's kind offer for food and drinks. All 5 of us agree to meet each other in the lobby first thing in the morning, right as the sun comes up. I make my way to my room, don't bother turning on a light, and drift off to sleep with a million things on my mind slowly fading away into peaceful darkness. Time passes and the night turns into day. The hot morning sun wakes me up, causing the once cozy bed I'm lying in to make me break a sweat. I jump out of bed and throw my cloak back on to meet the others in the lobby. We decide to eat breakfast on the way from the supplies I've brought, not wanting to take any extra steps or human interactions. As we walk out the front door, Isaac takes a sharp left turn back to the center of Midtown, in the direction of the square we didn't get to face last night. Come on, let's walk. No need for those rides if you 4 are going into the break, right? I bite my bottom lip as I follow, not responding, just thinking to myself. This break in town is worth 7 gold, but the one out in the mountains is supposedly 15. It's probably much more powerful, hence the price difference. I'd like to head straight for the tougher break. If this one we face is anything like the others, there's a good chance I won't have a fun fight. I want a new skill or new information, or another mana control breakthrough. That's why I came to the Dark Continent anyways, to find opponents that wouldn't be possible to find elsewhere. Also, of course, to appease the director and buy more time while I build my strength. There's no point in disagreeing with power magnitudes above mine. For now, I must continue training, then I'll have more options. I mutter under my breath, gritting my teeth while thinking of Brutus' face. I need to get stronger. Isaac turns around. What was that? I look up to him with an unnecessarily stern look on my face. Nothing. I'm just ready to fight. He nods as we walk out of the small back road and the main town square comes into view. Great, it should be, right? About? As the fire welder looks around, I do the same, and my teammates follow my gaze. In the middle of the sandy crowded square, there's a large metal box with 4 guards all standing around it. The chatter of nearly 100 villagers fills my ears as I try to concentrate. After a quick inspection, I find that the guards are all over level 275 and have decent basic combat skills. These men are all the equivalent of basic low-level C-class hunters. I use my all-seeing eye on the massive mysterious box, but nothing can be found. Nothing at all. There's an absence of space inside the box entirely. I didn't notice it yesterday because I wasn't fixated on it like I am now. I stare further, burning through a few hundred MP to boost my skills performance. Then, the hint of a dense mana signature deep within the box fills my mind's eye. I whisper under my breath, "The break is in there." Isaac responds without looking back. "That's what the quest office worker told me. He said just walk to the center of Midtown and you'll see it. I guess this is it." We walk forward, with our cloaks covering our faces, and Isaac taking the lead. To make us a bit less suspicious, I activate Conceal and edit my status to that of a higher-than-average C-class swordsman, about level 350. My disguise of the middle-aged tan-skinned hunter returns as we walk up towards the supposed break. People move out of the way as we near to the massive silver box. The closer we get, the less crowded the square filled with merchants, hunters, and villagers gets. Seconds later, we're no more than 5 meters away, meeting the gaze of the nearest guard. He places a hand up in the air. "Hey now, this is Dryrock guarded property. Move along before you get yourselves hurt." Isaac rolls his eyes and reaches into his cloak pocket to pull out the signed bounty offer for the Midtown break. The guard's eyes tighten as he reads the paper, then looks up at both Isaac and me. "You sure? We've had 4 casualties this week already. What level are you 2-?" He peers behind me to see the 3 figures covering their faces. "And who are they?" Isaac gulps and turns to me. Then I quickly respond. "Hired help. I'm just trying to get paid and save my village from a drought. I heard there were some bounties for breaks out here. It's either this or we starve." I show him a saddened stare, then end with a more light-hearted statement. "Wanted to see if I could snag a fight with an elite while I was at it. Looks like I just missed him." I let out a fake laugh and a grin, but it seems rather convincing to me. The guard smirks, giving me a chuckle. "Yeah, right. Those two elites walked through town without any fear. Guards that got close were blown away by some weird barrier. You wouldn't have stood a chance. I roll my eyes playfully. I'm kidding. Just a fantasy of mine. Then pause before continuing. Well, at least let us give this dungeon a shot. I hope to clear the one out in the mountains too. The guard crosses his arms, staring me in the eyes. A confident one, aren't ya? He sighs and gives me a nod, then calls out to the guard on his right side, protecting another wall of the silver cube. Hey, let's let him in. We have some new break challengers today. Chapter 224. Hey, let's let him in. We have some new break challengers today. The second guard peeks his head around the corner of the box with a goofy grin across his face, making eye contact with me. This man is heavier set and has a body hardening skill. He's most likely a tank. Is that right? Are you all facing the Midtown break or the mountain break? His silly grin turns into a more serious look as he walks from his post to stand by the other guard's side. I raise an eyebrow and respond. Well, what's the difference? All I know is one's worth more than double the gold to clear than the other. Both of the guards turn to each other and can't help themselves from bursting into laughter. Eventually, they stop and the larger guard speaks up again. Let me see your status. I don't feel comfortable sending you off on a death mission. You better be over level 300. I nod slowly, turning my concealed status towards the guard. It shows a level 351 swordsman with various stat-boosting rings, but none of my actual powers. His eyes widen as he reads everything aloud. Both of the guards become much more serious. Then I reply, See, I'm not just messing around here. My teammates here are all at similar levels. Tell me about these breaks, we can handle it. Also, I'm smart enough to run away if I can't. The guard that read my status aloud replies, You know what? You may be the kind of guy we need for that mountain break. I dash. His partner elbows him in the ribs, cutting him off. The mountain break is where those 4 casualties came from that I mentioned earlier. There's also only been 4 challengers. No one that enters that break makes it out alive. We don't have much info on it. The other guard speaks, after clearing his throat from being elbowed in the gut.
Yeah.
Sorry, you just wanted info on both breaks. I can't tell you much about that one. The one we're guarding here is an old Griffin dungeon. It used to be the perfect training ground for our higher-level 200s hunters to break into the 300s after farming the boss. But now it's gone way out of control. He lets out a long sigh. No one has dared to face the mutant boss. Our teams of 5 have trouble with the regular dungeon spawn mutants. They have some nasty wind magic. According to a few of the break experts, the boss is rumored to be almost level 400. An audible gulp comes from the other guard as he agrees. I nod slowly, thinking this information over my head for a few seconds, then respond. I'd like to talk this over with my partners for a moment. I turn to Isaac, motioning for him to come back over to my 3 teammates. They're still standing together with their faces covered. Maria is the first to make a comment once I get closer. You want to go off and face that mountain break by yourself, don't you? I let out a chuckle. You read my mind. I turned to look at the mountain range made of orange-red stone towering over the village for a moment, then back to my team. You 3 handle this break. I want the one in the mountains. With a record of 4 attempts and 4 casualties, there's something fishy going on, and I want to figure out exactly what it is. I get a firm nod from Ari as he responds. Finally, I'll get to solo a mutant boss. Abby slaps him on the shoulder. Hey, I'll be the one to take it out. Just watch. Maria looks at me with a serious stare. Meet back at the inn in 4 hours. If either of us doesn't show up, go in to help the other with their break. Deal? Deal. Isaac butts in. Hey, so what if, well, you don't come out? Then he turns to me. And you're facing the mountain break by yourself? Are you deaf? I cut him off. It'll be fine. I turn away from my team and relay the news to the guards standing by. These 3 are going to handle this break. I'd like to take a crack at the one up in the mountains. Where is it? Not expecting these words to come out of my mouth, the tank chokes on his own breath before responding. Why, you're not serious, are you? We were joking. Do you even have a signed bounty for it? A level 350 soloing the mountain break, are you crazy? That's suicide dash. I roll my eyes and turn to Isaac. He understands and shows them the signed paper with a worried look on his face. The fire user holds a second sheet of very small paper under the signed bounty. The guard takes both of them, reads them carefully, then hands the bounty paper back to Isaac. The nervous gaze from Isaac now transfers to the guard. The one on my right gulps, then points to the highest mountain peak. Your paperwork checks out. See that middle mountain? I shift my feet to face the mountain and cross my arms. The corners of my lips begin to curl upwards. Yeah, I see it. He continues. There's a path all the way up to the top. You should see it about 3/4 of the way up. It's impossible to miss the break. I stare up at the peak, then reply. All right, then how do I get inside? Are there more guards like you up there? And another one of these shielding contraptions. He looks over at Isaac, then back at me. All of the guards were called down after yesterday's challengers didn't make it out. It's basically just left up to whoever wants an earlier death sentence. He pauses. As I said, there's no info on that break still. It shouldn't be anywhere near as dangerous as it is. We lost a level 385 rogue the other day that attempted to challenge it. He's known for taking about the toughest breaks. I didn't even know that man could bleed. I raise an eyebrow. Oh yeah? He didn't make it out? What kind of dungeon is this anyway dash? Isaac throws an arm around my shoulder and begins turning me away while whispering in my ear. Enough talking. You sound like an outsider more and more every second you keep running your mouth. You'll blow your cover. I yell out. Hey! Isaac cuts me off, but I can sense some urgency in his tone now. He must be serious. I shift my gaze to see some wandering eyes and ears listening in, then shut my mouth. The fire user asks me another question. Your friends can handle themselves fine? I reply. Yeah, a griffin break? They'll be fine. While turning away, I see Maria's lips mouth, 4 hours. I say 4 hours back, confirming our deal, and wave the others off. I think to myself as both Isaac and I walk through the crowd of people in the Midtown Village Square. This break shouldn't be much harder than the one we just defeated. The three of them are more than competent enough to face a break on their own. If for whatever reason they're not up to the challenge, I'll be back in 4 hours to help. I'd be very surprised if they don't clear this dungeon without me. Isaac responds, breaking my train of thought. Whatever you say. The faster you clear these breaks, the faster I get paid and can leave you crazies. I'll be set for years off this payout. He murmurs under his breath as we make it through the crowd and head off toward the mountains. This will all be worth it in the end. The two of us walk in near silence again for what seems like a very long time. We make our way to the edge of town, step off the stone road, and begin walking on a much more sandy, rugged one. As we stray from town, the wavering transparent barrier is easy to walk through without any resistance. When I look back, the town is completely gone. I let out a light gasp at the sight, but Isaac assures me we'll be able to get back in without a problem. The twisting sandy road winds up the side of the mountain, and after half an hour of walking I wish we brought those camels along. I can see it in the fire user's face too. He regrets leaving our rides behind. The hot sun is beating down on us overhead even though it's still very early in the morning. There is a slight breeze that comes through every few minutes, giving us a hint of cool air, but fading away before I'm fully satisfied every time. We're about halfway up the middle mountain, and I already see a glimmer of something up ahead on the trail. I squint my eyes and activate my all-seeing eye at the same time. To my surprise, I pick up a faint mana reading. Then, activate it even further and pick up the traces of an entire dungeon portal. The pulsing was too weak to sense from the town, but now that I'm focused on it, there's definitely something here. We trek upwards until it comes into full view. I see a light red glowing dungeon portal sitting up on a high rocky ledge. It's calmly swirling and completely unguarded. The entrance to my next break is about 200 meters away on the path ahead. I whisper under my breath. This all seems way too easy. Something doesn't feel right. Chapter 225. But something feels off. As the two of us make our way up the narrow sandy path up the mountainside, a light red glowing portal comes into full view. It gives off minuscule amounts of mana radiation compared to what I was expecting to see. The closer we get, the more I prepare for a wave of intense energy to come pulsing out, but it never comes. The two of us approach the portal in silence. Then I finally speak up. This is giving off the mana signature of an E-class dungeon at best. Isaac responds as we come to a halt about 10 meters away from the light red spinning portal. WL, once you enter, I'll be waiting out here. You heard what that guard said. Not a single person has walked into that dungeon and made it out alive. There's no way it's an E-class. I tighten my gaze and burn through a few hundred MP to examine every millimeter of this calmly swirling break. I don't find anything different than the last time I scanned it. Nothing. It's just a normal E-class break. With a sigh, I begin walking straight toward the break while continuing to speak in a low tone. I'll be back in a few hours at most. See you soon. As I turn away, I catch a glimpse of his nervous expression turns into a slick grin. I don't think much of it as I'm mesmerized by the odd portal in front of me, but shake myself from its trance before going into full battle mode. I turn to the grunt, looking him straight in the eyes to watch sweat roll off his forehead in streams. Don't try anything stupid while I'm gone. I light the tip of my finger with a dark flame, then grab it with my other hand, putting it out in an instant. We have a deal, but I won't hesitate to make you disappear if you do anything to harm my teammates or put my mission at risk. Don't mess up this life-changing payout for yourself. He gulps, then shows me a slight bow, stuttering a reply. Oh, of course. I'll be right here when you return. He steps back. I reply to his bow with a firm nod, then face the portal again. Great. Now on to more important things. The light red mass of mana spins slowly and silently just above the rocky desert floor. It's almost eerie how little energy it's giving off. There's not much use in thinking about it anymore. I'll just need to jump through and figure out what the problem is from the inside. With a grin forming across my face, I jump through without a hint of hesitation. Instantly, white transfer magic brings me into the dungeon. My eyes open wide for a moment, then tighten and shift back and forth as I question what exactly is going on here. There's tall green grass, occasional patches of rocks and small trees, a bright blue sky with white clouds, and a cool breeze that pushes my hair up as I step into this new world. A goblin dungeon. Blinking a few times, I activate my enemy detection and inspect skills as I see 3 small green creatures come running towards me with their small black daggers held tight in their grips. 20 LV, 16 LV, 13 LV, 12. I squint more, unable to truly believe what I'm seeing in front of my eyes. Goblins? Really? They're higher levels than normal goblins, but still, these are double-digit level mobs. I must have entered the wrong break. Maybe there is another one nearby that I missed on the way up, or it's further up the mountain. I rack my brain for ideas as the 3 goblins continue to come charging my way. The group attacks, but I kick them to the side and incinerate the group with a small fireball from my right hand as I continue to ponder my predicament. The guard's description of the dungeon break matches the location of this one exactly. So what am I missing? I'm pretty frustrated, but decide to begin my trek forward into the dungeon anyways. It's still a break after all. Someone has to clear it. I open up my item storage and let Ember fly out. It's been a while since we've had some peace and quiet alone in a dungeon. The elegant glimmering black wings of my battle partner come out of my white twisting item storage portal. Then the crimson eyes of the large monster show themselves next. Instantly, I feel our telepathic link open up. We're a long way from home, and I've gained a few levels. It seems you've been busy. I smile and watch the magnificent beast flap its wings and fly up into the open sky of the dungeon. I airstep upwards to climb on his back and respond. I have. You haven't missed any exciting fights yet. I'm hoping we'll come across one soon. Ember begins to fly his wings harder, bringing us higher up into the sky, then responds. Maybe we'll get one here. What a peculiar break. I raise an eyebrow, activating my all-seeing eye and looking down from above. I'm not sure what you owe dash. I sense something odd on the far side of the dungeon that was definitely not there when I scanned for enemies upon entry. This is new. Just as I catch onto the odd disturbance in mana that's lurking back by what can only be the boss room portal, it disappears from my mind's eye. It's gone. Ember pauses for a moment before responding. Seems like it is. My guess is a dungeon intruder. Something with a teleport skill. I nod slowly, continuing to extend my perception skills range, but coming back with nothing at all over and over again. I did feel it, there was something there. It was strong too, very strong. Ember and I continue to soar through the sky for another 30 minutes. I catch him up on the whole Dark Continent situation, but the dragon doesn't seem to care much for our human issues. He's more focused on the breaks themselves, hoping to snag more levels wherever he can. We're only 75 away from his next rank up, so it seems like this is still the only thing on the forefront of his mind. It gives me more motivation to focus too. Leveling up and improving my skills is the only thing that matters. Let's find this intruder. The moment I speak these words, its presence comes backing my mind's eye. Ember seems to notice a disturbance in the mana around us too and immediately changes directions, beginning our descent. Whatever is down there is giving off mana levels similar to the salamander boss in full battle mode that I fought just yesterday. There's also an odd shielding around it blocking me from reading into its full potential. As we plummet down toward the floor at blinding speed, I begin to activate my other detection skills. Then the presence vanishes again. It's completely gone. Again. I grit my teeth as we break through the cloud line, and the light gray spinning boss room portal comes into view below us in the middle of a wide open meadow of tall green grass. Both of us land to the ground with a thud, and I hop off Ember's back with my hands at my sides, looking around with both curiosity and frustration. The portal slowly spins and gives off a light gray tint. Even for a dungeon break, it's hardly dark at all. The portal doesn't buzz one bit, and there aren't any goblin or hobgoblin mobs in sight. There is usually some kind of portal guardian or something. Nothing seems to be popping up. I reach into my item storage to cautiously take out my sword. It's way too silent. My eyes continue to dart back and forth, waiting for an ambush, but it never comes. Minutes pass, and nothing happens. That dense mana source that has appeared twice isn't showing its face. I don't understand why. Letting out a sigh, I walk back over to Ember, who has now made himself comfortable laying down in the soft green grass. Leaning against his cool black glossy scales, I open our link. Looks like it ran away. Whatever was here is definitely not here anymore. Ember replies, "What a shame. I thought we'd get to meet a real archdemon dash." Ember's voice stops mid-sentence and the air pressure shifts. The dense mana readings begin to pop up on my radar again out of nowhere. I grip my sword and turn around to see the source of the energy. An unexpected guest has arrived. Chapter 226. I turn to see what the source of this overwhelming power is, and my jaw drops at the sight of a full-blown demon with red horns, white eyes, dark skin, and pointed white teeth staring at me curiously. Dense white mana shielding covers its bulging muscles, and I see the thin black line on its forearm stretch all the way up its nice shoulder and curl onto its chest just like mine. The monster doesn't have any armor or gear on other than tight black pants that hug its overly muscular legs. It looks very similar to the greater demon I faced in the past. The only difference is this monster looks much more compact, more muscular, and possesses the ability to control mana at a much higher level. Its skin is such a dark red color it almost looks jet black. The creature's white eyes wander back and forth from me to Ember, to the dungeon behind us, then back to me. Then it speaks. Breaking through my telepathic link's defenses immediately, I hear the deep voice of the 3-meter-tall entity invade my mind. A demon and a dragon. What a lucky surprise. Its eyes tighten on me like it's looking straight through my body. I gulp as the monster continues. "Now, how did the two of you get all the way out here?" I don't say a word, cautiously gripping my sword tight by my side and activating inspect and appraisal. LV 450. Active items. None. Active skills. Telepathy. Legendary grade. Body double. Special grade. Dungeon walker. No items, and it has a skill I've never seen before. The other two are common demon skills, but there's no core. Where is the archdemon's core? Ember stands up and begins to flicker with dark flames behind me. I put my left hand in the air as the dragon stares down the demon in front of us. Wait, doesn't something feel off? Ember nods but keeps his eyes locked on the potential enemy. The demon smirks and continues to talk through our link like nothing has changed. Oh, come on, don't be like that. I haven't had anyone to talk to face in years. I abandoned my labyrinth too. Can't you tell? The demon takes a step forward, showing off its pearly white teeth, and stares deep into my eyes while continuing to speak through our link. You're an odd one, aren't you? A shape-shifting perk? Well, it doesn't matter. Whatever helps you blend in while outside the dungeons is none of my business. I look at the demon with a slightly confused look on my face, but pay close attention as it continues. I want to ask a million questions, but I'm better off just letting this monster continue doing the talking uninterrupted before it realizes what I really am. It takes another step forward. I really have been getting tired of guarding that place. Only in this recent surge have I been able to open my links to the dungeons that were formed during my creation. I squint my eyes as the monster continues its long strides, making the ground sink beneath its heavy feet with every slow step it takes in the tall green grass. You know, if neither of us reports each other to the king, we can each go our separate ways like this never happened. I stare forward with half pure astonishment and half mind-bending curiosity. The words that this demon says as it continues to walk toward me without changing its emotionless calm expression one bit are keeping me on the edge of my seat. A shape-shifting perk? It abandoned its labyrinth? Report to the king? So many things make my mind buzz with new thoughts. The shielding around its body is still glowing in the vision of my perception skill on full power. It's spewing unnecessary amounts of MP into the air. If anything, its defenses are getting stronger with every step closer it takes. My shielding isn't active at all, and Ember is hardly producing any flames. Either this demon is oddly confident that we're already allies, or it believes the two of us are so inexperienced that this is the peak of our power. It speaks up again, now less than 5 meters away. I heard there was a premature labyrinth collapse recently on one of the newer spawns. In a place humans called the Vice Region, I believe. We were informed that you had perished in the defeat, but it seems this isn't the case. I know your core signature very well. You've gone rogue. I nod slowly, remembering back to the labyrinth that I collapsed following the C-class exams. It seems I've really been mistaken for a demon again. All these monsters see is my core and my dragon companion and believe everything they see. I let out a sigh and go along with its game. If it believes I'm its ally, this may be a positive. That's right. We've been laying low, looking for others to team with. The demon takes another step, then its demeanor changes entirely in an instant. The calm eyes turn fierce, its kind grin shifts to a devious smirk, and it begins to swing its left hand of sharp claws directly at my neck without hesitating for a moment. I hear it say a final line. Too bad you've decided to betray us. I'll make this quick. I activate my mana manipulation to create a bright pink barrier of energy between my neck and the demon's incoming clawed fingers. I use nearly half my MP stores on the shielding while activating my stat-boosting skills simultaneously. I'm not taking any chances. It forms fractions of a second before impact, and I watch the crimson-red claws fracture into dozens of pieces on my dense shielding. The demon's eyes widen with fear, and a spinning black and purple portal opens up behind it. I lift my sword, instantly charge it with 1000 MP, and swiftly slice the monster's head clean off before it can take a step backward to blip away using its teleportation magic. I expected it to counter or fight back in some way, but the battle is over in an instant. As the head of the demon slides off its body, The portal behind it fades and a few final words come into my telepathic link. How interesting! Its eyes close and the head drops toward the ground. The demon's body falls backward. It whispers out a final line through our link before hitting the grassy floor. Come see me in Solara. I'll be waiting for you. Thud. Its head and body hit the ground at the same time. Then the entire dungeon falls silent. I look up at the gray spinning portal in front of me, then turn back to Ember, then finally back at the corpse on the ground. In just mere seconds, its body dissolves into thin air, not leaving a single thing behind. A body double. That skill I'd never seen before. This is the only explanation. I turn to Ember again. He speaks up before I can get another word in. That was far too easy to be the real thing. You're thinking I'm most likely correct. A body double skill, possibly similar to your advanced mana manipulation perk. Archdemons aren't easily fooled. I nod. So it probably knew I was a human all along? Or maybe it was just testing my strength? And how does it know all of these city names from outside the dungeons? It wants me to meet it in Solara. I gulp, then my facial expression slowly morphs into a grin. That means there's a labyrinth in the capital, right? Or maybe it's just in another dungeon like this. I scratch my chin, looking up at Ember while standing in place and thinking about our new situation for quite a while. So many things just got much more complicated than they were just a few hours ago. I'll deal with this threat once I get to Solara. For now, one thing at a time, let's clear this break. I open up my item storage to let Ember hop back inside. The last thing I need is to have Isaac see my 7-meter-long fire-breathing companion when I leave the dungeon. That grunt already knows one too many things about me. After entering the boss room, a mutant hobgoblin appears at level 41. I take it out in a single swing of my sword and wait for the white transfer magic to take me back out to the surface. Putting away my weapons and powering down my skills, the white light takes over and the break is cleared. I mutter to myself as I feel the earth under my feet shift from soft grass to hard smooth flooring that does not feel like the rocky desert. That went well. Easy enough. Wait dash. While transporting back to the real world, I begin to feel a very odd humming sensation. As my vision comes back, I see white walls surround me on all sides, and the buzzing sound of man-made mana shielding fills my ears. I'm in a box. It seems to be about the same size as the metal contraption I saw in the village square earlier this morning. Activating my all-seeing eye reveals that it is, in fact, exactly the same as the box from Dryrock. What have I gotten myself into this time? Chapter 227. What have I gotten myself into this time? There are 6 white walls, including the ceiling and floor all around me, buzzing with the strong sensation of high-grade mana shielding in the air. My perception skills reveal the level of shielding to be more than enough to keep most C-class monsters at bay. It seems as though the outside is made of a strong metal alloy while the inside is coated in dense white mana shielding. It's similar to the kind used in the Vice City Capital training rooms. Well, the public ones. How did I manage to get stuck inside one of these? I walk over to one of the walls and begin banging on it with a fisted hand. Hey, hello? Anybody there? I'm kind of stuck inside here. The pounding sounds of my fist against the impenetrable shielding fade instantly, not even leaving me with an echo. These are some hard walls. No one replies. I can't hear anything but the low hum of mana now that I think about it. I gulp, then begin to pace around the small white room in circles, thinking about my options here. It makes no sense as to why I'm in a box like this. It's only been 2 hours at most since I left the city. Maybe it was some kind of weird linked dungeon that brought me back to the town center? Or was I set up? Is this some kind of trap? I activate my plunder skill and begin sucking the MP out of the floor beneath my feet while fully activating my all-seeing eye to look through the walls around me. The moment I do, I catch onto the faint sensation of magic items in my near vicinity. Not many, and not strong ones, but there's definitely some mana-imbued gear lingering nearby. A few cloaks, swords, and item boxes are moving slowly in the open area all around me. I activate enemy detection too and find that all of the people around are between levels 275 and 330. I mutter under my breath, Guards! This was a setup. All signs only point toward one person. I roll my eyes and reach into my item box to pull out my sword. Using the excess mana from the shielding I'm standing on, I power up my own version of shielding using mana manipulation. I cover my entire blade in a thick pink layer of mana while coating my body in a thinner layer of it as well. This may be overkill. If my calculations are correct, none of the guards outside have a clue what mana control even is. But there's one that I'd like to teach a lesson. One of their levels matches Isaac's exactly. After activating Appraisal and doing a full sweep, his fire magic confirms his position as well. He's cowering behind them. I grit my teeth and swing the mana-shielded blade at the dense white walls. It slices through like butter, not even making a sound, leaving the full wall entirely intact. I hear the chatter of guards come through the white walls the instant the shielding is fractured. A raspy voice fills my ears. It's only us four. We're the only ones that know about this elite. The bounty on his head is all ours. We'll kill him the second we get a chance. He's a crafty one too. He can change his face to look like anyone, so don't let that fool ya. Another guard responds. Yeah, and he wields two elements, fire and earth. This box better hold him. Ready when you are to set off the trap. There's a pause. 3, 2, 1 dash. Without wanting to know what exactly will happen at the end of this countdown, I kick the triangular sliced metal shielding in to open the hole just large enough for me to hop through onto the rocky mountain path overlooking the city. The four rougher-looking men in guards' uniforms stop counting down and stare at me wide-eyed with shields, swords, and daggers pointed straight ahead. One of them in the back speaks up. Hey, how'd he get out of there? That shielding is graded for up to level 400 monsters. I thought you said he was a level 351. The guard turns to a nearby rock pile and I follow his gaze to see the back of Isaac's head running away down the path without saying a word to reply. My eyes shift back to the four guards as they begin to run at me with their weapons raised, yelling death threats and bearing angry expressions. The world around me seems to slow down. I take a deep breath in, then let it out. Watching the sand beneath the backs of Isaac's feet fly up in the air and the shining silver weapons of the guards before me slowly close in on my location. I think to myself, it's a shame you ratted me out. Once a crook, always a crook, I guess. I haven't killed anyone in a while. Unfortunately, today I'll break my clean streak. I'm not mad about it, just disappointed. Disappointed that even with common interests in mind and what I thought was some mutual respect, it still wasn't enough to tame human greed, including my own. This will be quick. I lift my sword, still covered in a layer of pink mana, and run forward while charging its core with fire-imbued MP. In the blink of an eye, I slice through every last one of them. All four guards freeze in place, unable to comprehend what's happening. I run through them without batting an eye, slicing while keeping my eyes focused on the man that revealed my secrets to these four grunts. Isaac calls out, begging for something, but I don't give him the time of day to say a single word. The backstabber is finished before he can even meet my gaze. I fly past him with a swift swing of my sword, then come to a halt using a hint of wind magic to stop my feet from sliding down the trail any further. My perception of reality speeds back up to normal. Then the five astonished men all burst into balls of hot black flames. In less than a second upon leaving that mana-shielded box, every last one of them has been completely incinerated. One of the rare cool mountain breezes comes through, making the black flames waver on all of my targets for a moment. There's a slight whistle in the air. I'm left in near silence. All that remains now are piles of sizzling ash and the inconsistent buzzing of a broken metal mana shielding contraption. I curse under my breath, realizing the seriousness of what I've just done, but don't regret it for a moment. They were going to kill me if I gave them the chance, and letting them run free would have endangered me even more in the future. That was the right thing to do. Well, that's all I can tell myself now. What's done is done. After looking over both my shoulders, confirming there are no other wandering eyes, I throw all of their low-level gear into my item storage. Using my earth summoning skill, their blackened remains are mixed into the sandy dirt below my feet. Then, I stare at the massive metal contraption with a triangle-shaped hole in the side of it. Now, how did they even manage to get this thing up here? It's enormous. There's no way I'm moving this thing in one piece. With a few swift swings of my mana-shielded sword, the metal box is sliced into 8 smaller pieces that conveniently fit in my item storage without a problem. Each fragment buzzes and vibrates, giving off absurd and uneven amounts of mana. They rattle and shake the ground if not handled with my telekinesis skill. Even while flowing in the air, they aren't very easy to hold. It won't be containing any monsters or people anytime in the near future, but I'm sure these parts will come in handy at some point in the future. I let out a long sigh, confirming that all of the evidence has been scrubbed. Looking down at the city below, my heart skips a beat as I remember my teammates clearing the break in the town center. I wonder if more guards have set up a similar trap while waiting for their return. Chapter 228. I stare down at the city below, wondering how my teammates are faring against a potential ambush. Remembering back to when we showed the guards in the middle of town our bounty to clear the break, Isaac slipped him a second piece of paper. I grit my teeth and curse under my breath again. How could I have been so careless? Well, trusting is a better word. How could I have been so trusting of a grunt that would turn his back on his own townspeople for some gold? Of course, he'd turn his back on me once he got a better offer. I swallow hard, rolling my eyes, then tighten the grip on my blade for reassurance while staring down the mountain trail that leads back to the town. Think. It's been a little over 2 hours. Even if the 3 of them ran the hole, there's a low chance they've defeated the entire break already. I still have time to scope out the center of town and prepare for what happens next. Thinking back to what the guards that attacked me said, they were the only ones that knew of my whereabouts and hidden abilities. Hidden in a much more private setting, they were going to cash out on my bounty alone. My teammates will reappear in a much more populated area. It'll be much harder to keep a secret, so I can only assume they have a lot more guards on the job. No one else has to die. If I can just get us out of the city quickly and quietly, that would be the best-case scenario here. I'm sure, given enough time, they'll figure out where their missing guards went. However, our immediate concern is to escape this city. All 4 of us have a bounty on our heads. I begin walking down the mountain at a quick pace while reactivating Conceal and throwing on a new generic villager disguise while covering my face with my long red robe just to make sure no one identifies me. It takes nearly half an hour to get down the mountain. The sun has risen higher in the sky, making its hot rays much stronger, pulling moisture from my skin with every step. The city is still invisible to me too. The odd magic barrier shields any visuals from making it through. Maybe that's it? I walk up to the invisible magical wall. Using my all-seeing eye, it appears as a rainbow pink-tinted wavering wall of light-imbued magic. In the silence of the desert, I look over both my shoulders but see no one to my left, right, or back. There isn't even anyone from the village past the wall looking at me. It is a more unpopulated portion of town with residential buildings facing away from the open desert. I slowly bring my finger forward and tap the wall of glimmering transparent magic 2 times. To my surprise, it sends rippling waves all throughout the barrier and actually stops my finger from pushing through it. Well, this is unexpected. I tap it again with my outstretched pointer finger, but the vibrations just show up in my mind's eye and flow throughout the entire town-sized curved dome. The waves look like the result of throwing a rock into a pond. So odd. There's a good chance that if I hit it hard enough, this barrier will most likely break. As I gauged it before, it's a high-grade D-class spell. I'm sure it does well at keeping most intruders out. I'm not exactly sure how it's maintained or operated, so I don't really want to break it beyond repair if the caster isn't in town to fix it. I activate my mana manipulation skill and coat my finger in a layer of pink shielding, then try my tapping again. To my amusement, my finger slips right through. Tiny fragments of clear, shimmering energy fly off of the area my finger touches and dissolve into thin air. It looks like paper-thin glass being shattered. It only affects a small area that is touched with mana and disappears within seconds. The ripples don't carry throughout the entire barrier like before. With a smirk, I coat the rest of my body in mana and take a few steps forward to walk all the way through. More small rainbow shimmering, Transparent fragments burst from the spell as I slip through and dissolve into the air. I do a final scan once I get to the other side, making sure that I've left the wall completely unharmed and remained totally unscathed myself. Powering down my perception skill, the city is visible to me without any outside aid. I made it back inside. Immediately, I head toward the inn we stayed at last night while using my special grade conceal perk to shift my appearance around to something that'd help me out a bit more at a time like this. With long black slicked back hair, a beefier build, and a smug look on my face, I take on the appearance of the fire-wielding grunt that crossed me and head for the camel stand at the back of the town. Without even batting an eye, the kind old man taking care of the animals in the back gives me the reins for 2 of the 3 camels he was taking care of. I mention if we're not back by nightfall, the third one, Isaac's old ride, is his to keep, a token of my gratification. It may be better off with this caretaker anyway. He looks at me with an astonished stare, but graciously accepts as I walk off with our 2 rides toward the town square. My heart beats faster and faster as I walk through the narrow alleyways holding the reins of both camels tight, leading them behind me. There's a cool shade near the walls of the buildings that line both sides of the street. Every step forward I take makes me more jittery about the sight I'm about to see. Finally, making it to an opening that leads out into the bustling crowds of people, I tie the 2 camels up in the last bit of shade and slowly walk forward into the mass of people going about their everyday lives. The top of the massive metal box is visible, reflecting the midday sun right back at me. Still in full disguise, looking exactly like the fire-using thug that tried to have our heads sold off to the highest bidder. I wade through dozens of people, making my way closer and closer to the metal box. The laughter and conversations all around me fade away. All I can hear is my own breathing and my slow footsteps on the hard ground. The mana shielding contraptions gets closer while the crowd of villagers gets thinner. I activate my all-seeing eye and stay hidden by the horde of people all around me and begin to walk around the open courtyard in slow circles while examining the mana in my close vicinity. There are tons of mana crystals and mana-imbued items being traded all around. Some wear item boxes while others are holding goods on their person. The 4 guards that stand around the large metal box are all stacked up with lower-level C-grade gear. There are another 8 guards stationed all around the square, armed with similar gear. I continue to walk around in a slow circle, stopping at random shops and switching directions every once in a while with the crowd's natural flow for a full 10 minutes. Keeping my head down and out of sight, only using my perception skill, I completely blend in with every other merchant and villager that passes through. It's been just over 3 hours now, so my teammates still have plenty of time before our decided meeting time, but I would have guessed that they beat this break by now. My breathing slows, and my eyes grow sharp as I continue to watch the box from all angles and wait. Finally, I feel something. The strong magic within the portal ceases to spin, and I feel an intense wave of familiar earth and ice magic hit my mind's eye, seeping through the heavily shielded metal box. One of the guards takes out a glowing silver contraption from his pocket and yells out with a fearful tone to the guard next to them. "They're here. Get into positions." Just like before, moments prior to when I cut through the magic box up on the mountainside, I hear one of the nearby guards counting down. 3. The 4 guards scatter, running away from the box while yelling at villagers in the crowd to stay back. One of the other guards continues to yell, "It's a break. Get back. Everybody get back. The containment is failing." My eyes dart back and forth while I watch everything go down in real time. The men are clearly lying. They're collapsing the box from the outside. At least they're getting the innocent citizens away, that's good. The surrounding 8 guards begin to walk closer from all sides. 2. The villagers and merchants all around me start to scream and smaller children in the streets cry in fear, but I run forward, making my way straight at the metal box. I pass one of the guards on my way through, locking eyes with him for a moment to see that it's the same one that Isaac handed the small piece of paper off to this morning. I get a surprised look from him but pay it no mind. I'm still in full disguise. 1. I lunge forward, then the countdown hits its final number. 0. There's a loud bang, and everything glows bright white. Chapter 229. 3. 2. 1. I hear a nearby guard count these numbers down as I run toward the metal box in the middle of the square. All of the villagers and merchants run in the opposite direction, following the orders of the screaming guards that are lying to them all about a collapse in their containment tech. In reality, whatever is about to happen is all they're doing. It was triggered by that small silver contraption in the hands of one of the escaping guards. 0. The countdown hits 0. I'm close to taking out my sword and slicing through the metal box myself, but I feel energy building up inside it. The district dense mana for Ares' bow, Maria's new royal blue ice, and I feel the ground begin to shake and ripple, sending waves of earth magic all throughout the courtyard. I grin and tuck my sword back into storage, realizing they have this all under control. There's an incredibly loud bang that's quickly overpowered by the humming and buzzing sounds of excess mana shielding flying out into the air. A bright white flash of white light engulfs the entire square. To anyone without extreme perception awareness like mine, it'd be impossible to tell what is going on. So, in other words, I'm the only one that has a clue of what's going on for the next 1 to 2 seconds. Metal fragments from the contraptions begin to burst out in all directions, and my 3 team members jump out of the mana-spewing box with angry expressions on their faces. They've busted out at the last minute without my help. Ares' arrow blew a hole right through the shielding, and Maria's ice took advantage by freezing the whole box solid in fractions of a second. Abby finished the job by forcing the desert floor beneath the box to shoot spears of rock into the brittle outside layer, shattering it into thousands of pieces. This chain of events releases massive amounts of built-up energy into the atmosphere. I summon walls of rock to shield the innocent townspeople that may be caught in the blast radius. Massive 5-meter-tall walls of stone make a 20-meter-wide circle around the inner part of the town square. While doing so, I activate my telepathy skill and aim it directly at my teammates. It's been used on intelligent monsters before, but never on other humans. In theory, it should work just fine. Can you hear me? About a second passes. Shards of metal and broken mana shielding collide with my walls of stone, blocking them from hitting the villagers. But I conveniently let a few pass in the direction of the 12 guards, now all running away in fear of the blast. Maria's voice echoes in my mind.
J'y
How dash? Then Abby cuts her off with a confused, echoing voice. Hello. Ari is the last to talk through my telepathic link as Abby's voice fades off. He's more calm and collected. What happened? I reply while shooting a dark ball of fire in the air, heading off in the direction of the camels I parked in the shadows of the narrow alley. The black-crimson ball of flames shines through all of the dust and mana-imbued white and silver-colored debris. It was all a setup. Isaac betrayed us. Follow the flames, we're getting out of here. Abby butts in with a sarcastic tone. Who would have thought? Isaac betrayed us. I cut her off with a serious reply. Tease me later. For now, our only goal is to leave this square. I activate stealth to zip through and hop over the crowd with ease as the dust begins to settle all around. The display of earth magic and metal fragments is revealed. The bow wielder, blonde, and green-haired mages follow close behind me. I deactivate my concealment and stealth skill and hop on one of the camels while unhooking them from where I previously tied them up. My other 3 teammates hop on and we ride away through the empty alleyway before the screaming crowd can escape the square. We leave the village center in shambles. With bloodied guards cursing the elites they let slip through their fingers and yelling out words about the association, we're leaving this town just like the other 2 hunters from a few days earlier. Although the turned-up earth and a completely destroyed mana-shielding contraption, this is a surefire way to get our bounties raised. We probably left a bigger impression on this city than we should have. I can't help but to laugh at the chaos all around. A few small fires start in the confusion, but hunters and guards put them out before they spread too far. Clouds of smoke fill the air behind us. We twist and turn through the back roads until finally making it to the outer edge of town. Then we go straight through the shimmering invisible wall without hesitating for a moment. Camels are surprisingly fast when pushed to run. I thought they were just lazy, slow-moving creatures all this time. Learn something new. These animals are quick. The 4 of us, on 2 rides, make our way straight for the mountains in the direction I just came from. Abby is the first to yell out. Hoo-hoo! Now that's how you leave in style. She turns to me and changes her tone. So, you finally got rid of that fire user, I take it? I nod, staring forward. Yeah, he's gone. A few guards were taken out in the crossfire too. Deserved. Just wish I got a skill or something out of it. I'll sift through the gear another time. Oh, what about you all? How'd the actual break go? Ari replies. It was a good boss fight. The three of us nearly had to go all out. Maria, wanna show what we got? She nods and reaches into her item box behind me, pulling out a few random items. The only one that stands out is a long curved white talon with a 70% mental strength buff. I look at it curiously for a moment, then feel a buzzing sensation come from Maria's lap, followed by a white glowing light. Her eyes open wide and she reaches down to pick up the transmission tablet that came out of her item box and is now vibrating like crazy. With a tap of one of the crystals, we all hear a loud voice come out. It's the director. I've been trying to reach the lot of you for almost a full day now. What are you doing out there? Give me a full mission status report right now. Just hearing his voice makes me sick. I'm not sure why. Maria chuckles and responds while my stomach drops to the floor. Oh, we just cleared the 4th break. Only 2 more to go. There's a pause on the other end of the transmission tablet as Maria's cheerful voice echoes in my mind and the clomping sounds of camels' footsteps fill my ears while we begin to enter an alcove between 2 mountains. Instead of climbing up the path from earlier, we head off to the right side of the middle mountain. Red walls of rock line a narrow valley-like path cutting straight through the 2 mountains. A cool breeze even drifts through, whistling past the tall rock cliffs on both sides as we continue forward. Finally, the director's voice returns as we all wait in anticipation. Good. So you didn't run into any trouble. This has gone much more smoothly than I expected. So you'll be staying the night in Dry Rock before heading off to Solara, I'd assume. Maria giggles again. Well, actually we dash. Ari reaches over to grab the tablet. We'll be heading off to Solara soon, yes? Why? There was no mention of giving mission updates until we finished the job. What's come up? Cut to the chase here. Why are you calling? There's another long pause. Maria is a bit annoyed that she didn't get to finish her sentence but stares at the glowing tablet waiting for a response just like the rest of us. Not saying a word. The director replies. You have less than 2 days to clear the final break in Solara. If by any chance you fail, there will be a major catastrophe. Chapter 230. You have less than 2 days to clear the final break in Solara. If by any chance you fail, there will be a major catastrophe. The sick feeling in my stomach slowly fades as the conversation carries out, turning into pure anger rather than dread. I stare at the glowing transmission tablet in Ari's hand and clench my jaw tight. I want to give the director a piece of my mind, but there's no use. It'd only be detrimental to this mission, and there's no clear reason for why I'm really that mad at him. It would be pointless to antagonize that man right now. I want to face the stronger dungeons to come, and he wants us to clear them. Even if we want the same job done for different reasons, there's no use in sabotaging him or myself. Ari replies as I take a deep breath and stare forward, still not saying a word. You're going to need to give us a few more details than that. At the rate we're traveling, 2 days should be just enough time to take it to the big city. Even without calling, we would have made it in time, so don't worry, director. We'll be well on our way soon. There's a pause. The 4 of us travel further into the shade-filled valley between 2 mountains. The sudden lack of direct sunlight cools my skin, making it a bit easier for me to think straight. The director's voice rings out from the tablet again. Instead of his slow and stone-cold usual self, he speaks fast with a hint of emotion in every word. My apologies for being rash. There was just a minor delay. The scouting party we sent out 3 days before you gave us details of the final break. Seems to be a multi-level dungeon break. A labyrinth with over 20 floors actually. There hasn't been a break like this in Section 4 in years, and one to this magnitude would be devastating. There will be C and possibly B-class monsters scattered across the continent. Worst case scenario, we'd have to create another abyss to contain them. There's another click and the transmitter goes silent. Abby, Maria, and I are all left confused by his final line. Another abyss? Even with that, I can't help but think about what the director said beforehand. A multi-level dungeon break. Aries' eyes go wide, then tighten immediately on the small silver box in his hand. He stays silent. I finally speak up. A labyrinth break? I didn't know that was even possible. How do we go about clearing one of those? We all sit in silence waiting for a response as the camels continue to make their way forward at a much slower pace through the sandy valley. Any traces of the city we just left are completely out of sight, and from what I can tell no one is following us. A light chuckle comes through the glowing tablet before hearing a response. Good to hear you're going all right, Jay. I assume you're looking forward to a good fight in the capital. I wish I could say I planned this, but that isn't the case. You may meet your training partner while you're there. Fisher is the one who called and asked for backup after all. There's another pause and I begin to think about all the details in the news he just dumped on us. Fisher called for backup, meaning he wasn't able to beat the labyrinth's final floor. Then again, once you enter boss rooms, there is no way out unless you die or defeat the opponent. So the fact that Fisher called for help probably means he didn't even try to face the boss himself yet. Now that it's been mentioned, a labyrinth being in Solara does make total sense. This must be where that body double demon is residing. One thing doesn't make sense though. I grit my teeth and speak up again. Then why'd you send us? Our party is much weaker than that seasoned elite. If he can't beat it, then why would you put your faith in us? This makes no sense. Ari butts in and speaks before there's any response. Hey, you understood, Director. It doesn't matter. If it's vital to collapse this break before it decimates Solara, we'll do everything in our power to stop it. Abby sighs and Maria nods happily. I was going to agree anyways, and it seems like Ari knows something I don't. So I just shrug. Brutus' voice rings out again, this time in an even softer tone. We've sent a team of B-class elites your way from Section 3. They're finishing up a series of their own urgent breaks in the meantime. We didn't intend for you all to be facing a labyrinth mission at the start of this outing. This is just the way things turned out. As stated before, doubled credit rewards will be provided and you may keep all drops from the labyrinth. No questions asked. I think to myself for a moment. It does all seem very out of the blue, and he wouldn't ask for us to try this near-impossible task unless very desperate. Usually, interactions with this man end in me being forced to do something I don't want to, or him trying to pry some info out of me that I don't want to tell. Neither of these are happening right now. Something else may be amiss, but it doesn't concern me much. This seems like a great place to end the conversation. I speak up in a positive tone. Great. The pay rise and item drops are perfect. We're on it. That 5th break will be taken out on our way, and the 4 of us will face the labyrinth break as soon as we get to Solara. After a final pause, he responds. Very good. I'll let them know you're on your way. Remember, 2 days remain. If it's not cleared, millions may die. Best of luck. Click. The tablet stops glowing and there's no way to respond back. Our transmission has ended. He left us on an unnecessarily ominous line there. Abby pulls out the map from her item box and speaks up. Well, this doesn't change any of our plans. I'd assume we're not exactly welcome back into Dry Rock anytime soon, and I don't want to go back to check. The only towns nearby are way out of the way. It'd only make our journey to Solara even longer. Maria responds. Agreed. We were headed this way anyways. Now we just get an extra reward. Ari replies while turning backward to look at the map. Yeah, but now we have a reason to step on it. He wouldn't have called if it wasn't serious. Looks like the 5th break is in this mountain range anyways. There's no point in taking any other path. We may have to camp out overnight in the desert. I nod, remembering the map earlier this week, but not being able to picture this mountain range. I wasn't sure if all of those tiny poorly drawn triangles were an exaggeration for this mountain range or not. As we begin to walk out from the small valley area and re-enter the rays of the scorching hot sun, I see the vast mountain range before us that stretches off as far as the eye can see. There have to be hundreds of them, for as far as the eye can see stretching out into the deep blue sky in front of us. Sandy paths twist and turn throughout the Rocky Mountains guiding us onward. Ari speaks again. If we travel nonstop, we may be able to find this fifth break by nightfall. I've heard of a powerful dungeon out in this mountain range, but never had the chance to face it myself. They're rumored to be blue ogres. Chapter 231. They're rumored to be blue ogres. Ari turns to me. Maybe they'll put up a good fight for ya. Ha! I nod slowly while thinking about what these new monsters could really be like. The director didn't feel it necessary to mention them, confident that we'd clear it without a problem on our way to Solara, so I'll just have to wait and see. Before I can even look up to respond, Ari continues. Oh right, how was the dungeon breakout here in the mountains? Seems like you cleared it pretty quickly. I never asked you how it went. Catching me a bit off guard with this question, I look up to the sky before answering. The Dunegon break I cleared was so quick because, well, I stopped myself from continuing for a moment. There's no reason to lie to my team here, but it may be for their own good. I faced a floor boss on the 20th floor of a perfectly stable labyrinth and had to use every dirty trick in my book to beat it. I believe in my team, but there are some things I just know are impossible right now. It's best that they don't get involved with my future dealings involving that archdemon. I gulp. It was nothing really. I didn't even get any drops. The strongest monster in there was about as powerful as the salamander boss we faced yesterday. Someone must have marked that thing wrong. I'm not sure what all the fuss was about. There's a pause from my teammates for a moment. Abby finally cuts through the silence. Well, I don't care if you don't want to spill the details. As long as the break is cleared, that's all that really matters. We'll just have to keep moving forward. I give her a firm nod, then turn away and grip the reins of my camel tighter. She lets out a sigh, poking Ari in the back. Blue orcs? I read about a potential monster type like this in the Association Advanced Quest text a few months back. They were described to use strong energy shielding and possess strength and defense buffs. Maria responds. So what? They're just super strong ogres? What's the big deal about these things? Abby shrugs, then smirks. I believe on occasion they drop very rare crafting items. There aren't any of these dungeons in the Vice region. The only mention of it I've seen in the files has been extraction missions to this exact mountain range every time there is a surge. I turn my head back to her, now interested. Really? Just here? And what kind of crafting items? Like element stones? Or Abby clicks her tongue. Ah, it was a while ago when I read all of these details. Plus, they send extraction teams out to a lot of dungeons. It may not be that special. I don't believe they wield any elemental magic. We'll just have to fight them and see what they actually drop. This is the extent of my knowledge. On that note, we continue to venture off into the desert, switching the topic of conversation to what's for dinner instead of the life-threatening battles ahead. The further we travel forward, the more spread out the mountains all begin to be. The tight Rocky Mountain range is now a wide-open desert plain with mountains becoming much further apart and valleys that dip much deeper than before. The earthy sand beneath our feet gets denser with stones and green shrubbery. The occasional small desert tree pops up and the hint of water nearby seems more and more real. Although we're stocked up on more than enough water for our travels, it's always nice to have a more lively ecosystem around. We head further north for over 6 hours at a very steady pace. Intermittently, I activate my enemy detection and inspect skills to see if anyone is tracking us from the town we left in shambles. After a few hours, a few parties of level 250 to 300 hunters are sent out, but they don't make it very far into the mountains before turning back. It seems they're just making sure we're gone rather than trying to catch us. I'm sure they know what happened with the missing 4 guards up on the hill by now. The one guard in the village that saw my face while disgusted as Isaac may have even conjured up some wacky story by now too. If anything, it may seem like they were double-crossed. Whatever works. I'm just glad we've left. Out of habit, I continue to check our surroundings in a few kilometer radius every 20 minutes or so, just in case any stragglers or oddities pop up. As the sun begins to set, an oddly high level pops up about 3 kilometers ahead of us on the mountain trail. I use appraisal and inspect. LV 440. Active items. Blue Ogre's Armor Set, plus 1400 defense. Blue Ogre's Club, plus 1250 strength. Active skills. Body hardening. Extreme strength. The orange rays of sunlight are beginning to disappear over the horizon behind the rising and falling mountains off in the distance. No one has said a word for at least an hour now. We've all gotten used to the footsteps of our rides and are just now enjoying the cool air that started to fill the valley. But there's a boss-level monster up ahead. Our moment of peace needs to be interrupted. I let out a sigh and speak up in a low tone. Sorry to ruin the mood, but we have company up ahead. Everyone begins to perk up, and I turn to Ari. You were right. Looks like we made it to the Blue Ogre dungeon by nightfall. The archer sits up straight, taking his bow out of the item box around his waist, and looks forward with a focused stare, moving his eyes left and right before responding. How far out? I can't see a thing. I point straight ahead. At this rate, 20 to 30 minutes until we face the first one. It's level 440. An ogre outside the dungeon is higher than some of the bosses we've faced so far this trip. My blank stare forward twists into the sliver of an excited grin. Their mana output is off the charts. Maria chimes in. Oh yeah? Just 20 minutes? Is it really that strong? What's it look like? I chuckle. I don't know everything. We'll just have to go face it and find out. I don't sense any others in the area, or even a portal nearby, so this may just be a lone stray. It's a good start though. Abby takes out her map and looks it up and down in the remaining sunlight. Yep, checks out. Considering our pace, we should be nearby the portal within an hour or so. We continue forward, now more on guard. Everything around us is silent. As we get closer, I continue steering us in the right direction. The mana this beast we're approaching only gets stronger in my mind's eye with every minute that passes. Feels dense and cool. Certain high-level creatures give off emotions with their mana auras. This one seems to be in a very calm state. We twist and turn through open plains and narrow valleys until we're less than 500 meters away. Still, there's no sound. All of my skills show that it's just standing in one place. The monster isn't moving at all. Before we know it, the final turn is made and we see it right in front of our eyes. A 5-meter-tall beast with pale blue skin. Its overgrown teeth stick out of its mouth like white tusks. Leaning against its massive wooden mana-imbued club, the monster stands facing a massive red rock wall, swinging its body back and forth, slowly biding its time. The curved rock wall stretches out to make a circular flat area about 100 meters wide. There are small piles of rock scattered about, and partial areas of rock wall that dip lower than others, letting in more of the final rays of the sun. There's a slight shimmer of silver armor on the beast's arms and legs, reflecting light from its armor. This gives my teammates a clear visual of the ogre. Activating my all-seeing eye from a distance. Its power is incredible. There's mana shielding activated around its whole body already. Thin, dense, and bright white. A strong shield of energy swirls around every millimeter of this beast. There isn't a single weak point. I'm certain it hasn't sensed our presence. But for some reason, it's already prepared for battle. I speak up in a hushed tone while putting a hand in the air to stop my teammates from saying a word or moving forward. It hasn't noticed us yet. Let's take it out before it does. We tie up the camels on a small nearby tree with thick twisting branches. The sun is almost completely set now. It's cool and dark in the desert, but a tiny golden-orange hint of sun lights up our battlefield, threatening to flicker out any minute now. The four of us split up, planning to surround the monster. Maria takes the right side while both Abby and Ari take the left. I take out my sword, activate stealth, and run straight ahead. Chapter 232. Activating stealth and gripping my sword, I run straight toward the light blue monster that's less than 200 meters away now. My teammates have spread out on both sides of the circular sandy battlefield. High red stone walls surround the makeshift desert arena. Fragments of golden sunlight glimmer off my fellow hunters' weapons as they charge forward. I watch the swaying monster before glowing blue and white with an ominous, slightly confusing aura. It stares straight ahead at the red rocky wall with its back facing me. Each step closer I take, the cool and collected mana radiating off the beast invades my perception skill. At under 100 meters away, I can finally hear the ground shift under its feet as it moves back and forth. Still, the monster hasn't noticed us at all. The shielding feels much different than anything I've faced before. Not strength-wise though, that's not what perplexes me. Usually, the shielding around monsters is thin and solid, like a skin-tight bodysuit fractions of a millimeter above their body surface. This monster's aura twists and swirls around, protruding multiple centimeters outwards on some portions of its body. Even so, there isn't a single area that I can detect a weakness. The swirling energy makes for a much greater volume of shielding, but the amount of MP stored in it is incredibly high, astronomically high actually. To put a rough estimate on it, over 50k MP is somehow swirling around this beast's body. This makes the density on par with the thinner shielding of other monsters I've faced at its equivalent level. It is odd, but this is not the most important detail for me. I'm almost positive I can take its head off in a single blow. I'm more curious about how my teammates would fare against it. This will be a solid test monster what the trials ahead. I'll let each of them land a hit before I go in for the kill. I watch the three of them veer in from my left and right side, beginning to glow with their respective skills. We're less than 30 meters away now, and the monster hasn't changed its movement patterns at all. It really hasn't noticed us. Ares' bow glows bright white while Maria and Abby glow blue and green with their weapons at the ready. The archer is the first to release his shot. A thin white spirit arrow glides towards the backside of the light blue ogre's head, timing the trajectory of the slowly swaying movements. Actually didn't notice. The arrow pierces the outer layer of swirling mana shielding with ease. Then, everything changes. On impact, the shielding begins to waver and ripple. I even see the white and blue edgy react with the sensation of a miniature splash. It pushes out a shock wave of light blue mana followed by an impressive explosion of light. For the fraction of a second that we're blinded, I feel the odd wave of energy pass through me. Then hear a ferocious roar. It doesn't hurt, but it's a very familiar sensation. One that I haven't felt in quite a while. It feels like my all-CI. This monster is using some kind of mana-pulsing ability for a makeshift perception skill. I grin through a clenched jaw and keep running forward, now charging my sword up and watching Maria and Abby both release their attacks. Two green crescents of energy come out of Abby's daggers while a royal blue shimmering light comes from Maria's sword. The Orge is mid-turn as it's hit at point-blank range with these three attacks. There's another loud bang and flash of white, blue, and green light as another dome-like shockwave is forced through all of us. I run forward to make my move. The shelling around the monster is still vibrating and rippling from its last barrage. It seems all three of my teammates' attacks made it through, but this monster recovers its footing quickly. I see a chunk of flesh missing in the back of its head from Ares' arrow, and multiple gash wounds in its torso from the mages. Not bad, but not good enough. It would take another 5 or so attacks from each of them to take this monster out. Those were cheap shots too, totally unguarded. The monster is in full battle mode now, but its level of shielding hasn't changed at all. Seems it's always on full blast. The blue ogre begins to raise its heavy club as I run forward, still using my stealth ability. I watch its eyes dart back and forth quickly, then lock onto my exact location. The massive monster lifts its club to block even before I release my attack. I charge up 1500 MP and let a dense wave of fire fly straight for its neck. Even with this odd perception ability, it's a bit too slow. The black crescent of mana glides just half a meter over the rising club and approaches its unguarded neck. On impact with its shielding, instead of gliding straight through, it ripples like water, sending out another shock wave. I hear a sharp and concise buzz as the blade moves all the way through its body. As it comes out the other side, I hear a familiar ringing in my inner ear. Level up. Instant kill. Just like that, it's dead. All 4 of us land to the ground and the dust settles. We're left in the silence of night, and the sun finally falls below the horizon like it was waiting for us to finish. That wasn't a hard fight, But there are a lot of unanswered questions I'd like to figure out once we enter the real break. What's with that thick shielding and the shock waves? Maybe I'll have an easier time examining it once I face more. This was just the first one outside the dungeon. It's better to kill the first few quickly to make sure they don't have any more hidden moves or special lethal abilities. In mid-thought, the corpse of the massive blue ogre falls backward with a thud and its head rolls to my feet. Maria is the first to shout out, staring to me. I didn't know that thing was so strong. Let me face one alone next round. Will ya? I place my sword into my storage and cross my arms. As a team, there'll be no problem. Solo, they will be tougher, but worth it for the levels and data we can collect. I'm really curious about these beasts, to be honest. I'd like to see each of you fight one. Ari nods and butts in. Yeah, that monster took a direct hit the other back of the head from me and survived. I'd like to watch them in action to find a weak spot too. Abby powers down her skills. Yeah, but we should face them in the dungeon. The more of these we can actually get item drops from, the better. Those rare crafting items I read about, the association paid multiple gold for every one of them. They must be really valuable.
Ide.
Like to see what exactly they are. I nod. Me too. So let's conserve our energy for the real fights in the break. We'll avoid any that are lurking in the mountains. There aren't any villages out here to protect, so it doesn't really matter if they roam free. All of them will dissolve once we take out the boss. There's a unanimous agreement, and we leave the dead ogre corpse to rot out in the desert. It'll also dissolve instantly once the break is taken care of, so there's no point in lugging it around if we don't have to. The four of us get back on our camels and continue into the night. I keep a small flame ignited to light up the night as we move forward, and Ari points a half-charged arrow to light up the path before him as well. The stars are beginning to shine from the black sky and the moon lets off a low white glow, but extra light is more comfortable for our travels right now. I expand my all-seeing eye out to a much greater range to find exactly what we're looking for. The further into this portion of mountains we travel, the more common these blue ogres become. They are rather spread out though. Over the next few kilometers, only half a dozen of them show up. Each one of them is level 435 to 445. So, either these are all mutants or this break is much higher level than any of us first expected it to be. Every mob we pass is calmly minding their own business in the cool night, swaying back and forth while emanating an odd blue glow. About 45 more minutes of quick-paced riding passes, and we successfully weave our way through a portion of mountains to avoid every monster. Using my perception and enemy detection skills, I locate the final mountain we've been looking for. Pointing forward with a flaming hand, I speak up. The dungeon is less than a kilometer ahead now. It's just up this last mountain path. We have a clear shot, there's no monsters in sight. It may sound too good to be true, but we've made it to the break. Chapter 233. We venture up the nearest mountain. Following the large mana reading focused on a single area I'm picking up on my perception skill. All of the enemy blue ogres that we pass don't seem to care much for us at all. They don't turn our way when we get nearby and hardly make a sound. My first guess is it's night. Possibly, they're sensitive to the changes in light, so they become inactive when it's dark out. Then again, there's no difference between night and day in a dungeon, so this theory doesn't add up. It must have something to do with its peculiar shielding, but we'll have to enter the break and see for ourselves. After a final 20-minute trek up this rocky mountainside with the dim light of black flames and a white arrow to guide our way, we finally make it. Up on a flat sandy rock ledge, a violently spinning crimson-red portal spews mana out in all directions. The low-pitched hum can be heard from about 100 meters away, and the vibrations it's sending through the air can be felt from almost 3 times that distance. It's similar to the salamander break that Maria and I faced in the cave system. The break is spitting out dungeon mass from within it. Light blue energy flickers out and dissolves into the open air, escaping the blood-red portal. We tie our camels to a nearby tree and I leave food by their feet in case we're gone for too long. The 4 of us walk toward the portal and draw our weapons. I take off the red cloak and switch it with my armor set from my item storage. I'm not sure what we'll face in this break. I'm sure I can handle it, but there's no reason to take any unnecessary chances. Moments later, after a short walk, We all jump through. After being teleported into this new break, the bright white light of transfer magic fades. When I open my eyes, everything is tinted light blue. There are small shrubs and light green trees on the rising and falling high rocky walls, and curving natural pathways. Mountains and valleys are all made of incredibly light-colored stone. The trickling sound of water fills my ears, and I see a gentle waterfall on my left side. The rock color underneath the crystal clear water is so light, it may even be white. I can't tell for sure with this odd blue tint skewing my vision. There's a deep canyon off to my right side and tall mountains straight ahead. They're all made of the same white rock, like all the pigment has been sucked out of it. The humming noise from the portal we jumped through hasn't gone away. It feels like everything in this dungeon is slightly vibrating. The mana density in the air is astronomically high, but it doesn't seem threatening at all. I'm getting the same cool and calm feeling from the surrounding mana particle in the air as I do when passing the ogres outside. We all stare at our surrounding for a few seconds. Then we're interrupted by a loud roar and stomping sounds approaching from a nearby downward-facing slope on our right side. I activate enemy detection and inspect to pick up a level 441 and level 440 enemy coming towards us less than 300 meters away. Ari turns to me. Looks like they're a little more lively in here. I point my sword down into a canyon of white stone, then see the outlines of two blue ogres coming straight at us. Yeah, that was fast. Two of them about the same level as the one we faced outside. Who wants to fight them first? Abby and Maria both light up with magic, but the green-haired earth wielder speaks up. We'll handle these two. Only step in if absolutely necessary. Our fight will be a good gauge for their actual power. I nod. I was thinking the same thing. Maria and Abby run forward, down the wide sloping canyon towards the two 5-meter tall monsters approaching. Ari and I follow close behind. I active my all-seeing eye and curiously watch the battle commence. Both of the blue ogres carry large wooden clubs covered in mana shielding just like the previous one did. They're identical in appearance, but their shielding is much different. Instead of being completely contained to a few centimeter barrier like the monster outside, the white and blue energy that surrounds these ogres extends outwards a few meters. My eyes dart back and forth at both of the creatures as they come closer and closer, trying to figure out what exactly is so unique about them. The mages let off 3 high-powered attacks. 2 green blades from Abby's daggers head toward the ogre to my left, while 1 ice-imbued crescent heads straight at the ogre to my right. The blue-tinted light around us wavers slightly as the mana attacks slice through it. I whisper under my breath, watching the air react with their attacks. It really slices through it? I tighten my gaze, watching the energy slashes collide with the outer layer of shielding on their intended targets, only to be struck with an even more confusing sight. The monsters don't even try to block the incoming strikes with their clubs, they just let them hit point blank in the chest. Instead of sending out a pulsing shockwave like expected, the shielding around these monsters compresses towards the ogres' bodies as the attacks get closer. They're compressing inwards at the same rate as the incoming mana blades. I can't believe my eyes at first. It seems like an incredibly intricate technique. The humming twang of mana fills the air and a bright white light flashes. To my teammates, it's unknown what really happened, but I saw the whole thing and mutter to myself with a smirk. I need to learn how to do that. My eyes stay locked on the beautiful sight in front of me. The closer the slashes got to their flesh, the denser these creatures made their mana shielding, using the minimum amount of energy necessary to whittle down the incoming blows to the maximum amount they could. Some of the attacks still made its way through, but hardly enough to amount to any real damage. The mana residue and white light of a reaction clear to reveal barely noticeable slashes across each of the Org's torsos. At this rate, it'd take 40 slashes to do any fatal damage. The ogres don't slow down for a moment, swinging their clubs at Abby and Maria as they jump out of the way wide-eyed, but already charging up more attacks. Maria calls out to Abby, "We'll go full power again, as many times as it takes." Ari and I jump backward and let the two of them handle it. Their attacks don't do much damage, but it's as clear as day the two mages have nearly double the speed and agility of these meatheads. Another flash of light blinds us, and I hear the grunts of now partially annoyed ogres sporting a new scar across their chests. Maria and Abby both drink an MP potion and weave around the attacking beasts to release another attack. I track all of their movements from a distance with Ari by my side. Every time attacks are thrown at these monsters, they prepare their shielding as the attacks come at them from multiple meters out. It's like the blue-tinted energy all around us is part of their mana supplies. It's much denser around them, but the air is definitely directly connected to their shielding. How? I don't see any hidden abilities or special skills on their appraised status, so it must be some kind of mana control technique that I'm not aware of just yet. Both Abby and Maria are letting out very powerful attacks, using MP potions every 2 or so strikes. It's no wonder these monsters were rumored to be so powerful. Ari was right. The girls keep weaving in and out of the monsters, releasing attacks, and the ogres get increasingly agitated. Blood begins to drip from their wounds, and their movements get slower and slower, making it easier for vital point hits. The battle is over in less than 3 minutes. It takes 9 MP potions each, so I'm not sure how profitable money-wise this hunting session will be, but the level-ups will be very good. At this rate, all of us will reach level 440 before we clear the dungeon. It may take a lot of wasted MP potions to do so, but it will be worth it. As I'm thinking this, Abby and Maria both send out a final blow on the mutilated creatures. The ogres both fall to the ground with loud thuds, and I hear Maria shout out, "I gained 2 levels? All right." Abby spins her daggers around, then checks her status, nodding. "Me too, not bad." She puts both daggers into her item box, then starts glowing bright green and places both of her open palms on her upper chest. Abby closes her eyes, then glows bright white and green, exerting hundreds of MP in an instant. This looks like her restore skill. I don't remember her ever getting hit during this battle, so I'm unsure why she's healing. I turn to Ari, then back to the girls, and shrug. We walk over as the corpses begin to dissolve. The moment we make it to the group, I hear the sound of something very light hitting the stone. 2 small white gems giving off blue energy fall onto the ground at Maria and Abby's feet. Those aren't mana crystals. Chapter 234. 2 gems no more than 3 centimeters wide fall to the floor where the massive blue ogres were defeated. They're both pale white, semi-transparent, with a glossy finish, and radiate with light blue energy just like the mana shielding from the monsters that were just killed. Instantly, I activate appraisal to see what these odd-looking gems are. I've never seen anything like this. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. I look closer and activate my all-seeing eye. The eye icon shows up next to each shard on their appraisal text. I open the new information tab as all my teammates stand around the 2 crystals, not daring to touch them just yet. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. Info. A shard of the Blue Ogre's Essence. Excess mana from a Blue Ogre dungeon has been contained in crystal form. Class, C+. Type, consumable. Durability, MP output. 50.2k per 50.2k. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. Info. A shard of the Blue Ogre's Essence. Excess mana from a Blue Ogre dungeon has been contained in crystal form. Class, C+. Type, consumable. Durability, MP output. 49.7k per 49.7k. My eyes dart over the text that hovers above the 2 small white crystals. Then I read every line out for my teammates to hear as well. Abby gulps, then picks one of the shards up in the air, keeping the glossy white gem at eye level. So they're mana-based consumables. Basically, overpowered and uncontrollable MP potions. So, 50k MP means they're 20 times stronger than a C-class mana potion. She smirks, then turns to Maria. The blonde-haired hunter lifts the other white gem and stares down at it in her open palm. I speak up. So, we can potentially use them for mana control training. Ari comes over with his arms crossed. That's exactly what I was thinking. If it takes Abby and Maria under 10 potions each to farm these gems, that's a 2 times MP profit multiplier. It'll most likely take me less, and Jay near 0 I'd assume. If we stock up, we could have enough for months' worth of training after this mission. Maria's eyes widen as she continues to look down at the white gem. But 50,000 MP, won't that be painful or dangerous? The recovery time for using that much mana so quickly would take days, no, maybe weeks. I nod slowly but don't say a word yet. Maria is right. These shards must work similarly to the strengthening fragments I've harvested from Titans. Although, by the sound of it, these shards are much less intense. A strengthening fragment allows the user to release as much MP as possible from an endless void of energy. In my experience, the more it's used, the more it releases until an unknown timer finishes. Without an incredibly high mana tolerance, strengthening fragments can easily be fatal for the wrong user. I have a feeling these shards work in a similar fashion, but cap out at around 50k MP. Before I get a chance to voice my point, Abby does in my place, making eye contact with each of us, then looking back down at the shard. I'll try one. Ari and Maria look at her with surprised expressions. I keep a blank face while trying to figure out why she'd say such a thing. Abby continues to talk while rubbing the small white gem between her thumb and index finger. 50,000 MP will be a lot, but I can handle it. I have my restore skill if anything goes wrong. Maria replies, "Are you sure that's a good idea? We should focus on collecting more shards before we do any tests. And more importantly, clear this break while we're all at full strength. You could put yourself out of commission for a long time by exerting mana like that. Didn't your elite guide teach you about these things last week?" Abby nods slowly. "Yeah, I learned a lot, especially about my newly upgraded legendary restore skill." None of us answer as the green-haired woman looks down at the small white crystal in her palm with a grin. The light trickle of water fills my ears from the small streams behind us, and the low buzzing sensation of the blue-tinted mana all around us still flows through me. Other than that, all I'm focused on is my heart beating slowly while watching Abby raise the small white gem to her eye level. She speaks up again. On average, I'm able to comfortably consume about 100k worth of MP per day in training. I can push myself to use closer to 200k. But the fatigue that follows after passing the 100k mark is very detrimental to the days that follow. Maria turns to her. Hey, but we used up over 15k in that ogre battle alone, and probably close to 50k each in the Griffin dungeon earlier today. If you use that now, you'll already be nearing your upper limit. Will you be able to keep fighting today? Or tomorrow? Are you thinking straight? She nods. I'll be fine. Trust me. If this works, we're all getting a lot more powerful than we could have ever imagined. Then right in front of all of us, without a hint of hesitation, the green-haired healer throws the small white gem into her mouth and shallows it whole. I immediately reactivate my all-seeing eye. Abby isn't stupid. She definitely has some kind of plan here, but I'm not sure what it is. Maria, Ari, and I all quickly jump back as the gem disappears from sight. Almost immediately, my perception skill begins to pick up increased mana output. In the center of Abby's chest, a bright white glow starts to leak out excess MP just like a strengthening fragment would. It's happening much slower, and the mana looks pure white instead of the black swirling abyss of unstable energy I'm used to seeing with consumables. Over the next 10 seconds, the white glow in her chest grows to take over her whole midsection and starts creeping down her arms. Abby is just standing upright with her eyes closed, breathing heavily, and holding a very stable stance. More and more mana is radiating outwards. After 10 more seconds pass, the outline of her full body is completely white. It's blinding to the naked eye. Instead of staying completely contained, mana particles start leaving in the same slow and controlled fashion. The white energy around the healer begins to fade and is completely gone after another 10 seconds pass. Just half a minute and it's already over. She didn't even let out a single attack. The mana just flowed right through her body. Abby falls to her knees, sweating and breathing heavier than I've ever seen her before. Her skin looks pale and her MP remaining is nearly non-existent to my perception skill. Maria runs over with a wavering tone in her voice. "Hey Abby, why'd you do this?" The green-haired hunter reaches into her item box with a shaky hand to pull out an MP potion while slowly standing to her feet. Before Maria can reach her, she's already drinking the potion and using her restore skill just like after the battle against the ogres. Green and white lights flash, outlining her body with mana for a split second once again. Once the energy fades, she looks as good as new, still covered in sweat, but her breathing is normal and her skin is back to its tan healthy coloring. I blink a few times, then realize what she just did. My eyes go wide as Abby speaks. My restore skill is able to erase the effects of mana fatigue. As long as we have MP to continue training, I believe I can heal us indefinitely. Maria stops in place just a few meters in front of Abby. "That's great, but you could have told us that first." Ari lets out a laugh. "I was wondering what kind of upgrade that skill got. Legendary upgrades are no joke, I would know." Maria pouts as I walk over, mumbling something under her breath. "I wish I had a legendary skill." Ari continues. "It looks like we have another secret to keep between the four of us." I make it over to the group after this line and we all nod in unison. I reply, "This also means we have a lot more farming to do before we clear this break. We've stumbled into a gold mine, and we're not going to waste this opportunity for a minute." Chapter 235. We've stumbled into a gold mine, and we're not going to waste this opportunity for a minute. We really have. After witnessing Abby restore her exhaustion in a matter of seconds with her new legendary skill, I can't help but feel obligated to continue training as soon as possible. This whole mission to the Dark Continent has been interesting so far, but I haven't made any real progress. This ability to restore mana fatigue indefinitely sounds like a dream come true. My past training in the Titan's domain was very useful but takes a toll on my sanity, and wears my body out a lot. If I can do the same action quickly and efficiently outside the dungeon, this could lead to a very intense power-up in the near future. Not just for me, this is an opportunity for my entire team to get much stronger. It's not definite just yet. We'll need to do more testing to confirm its limits. Either way, there's potential for all of us to become multiple times stronger than we already are in just a matter of hours. Maria looks down at the glowing white shard in her hand as light blue energy seeps from it, then lifts her gaze to meet Abby's. "I'll try it too. I can handle 50k MP. I'll just need a full restore immediately afterward." Abby nods and grins. "Let's do this." I turn to Ari and we both shrug while jumping backward again, letting her give it a shot. Maria nervously tosses the white gem into her mouth and swallows it whole in a quick and concise movement. Then, widens her stance and braces for the reaction to take place. The four of us are silent for a full 2 seconds, staring at the blonde-haired mage with her eyes shut. Finally, the bright white light from the shard appears in her chest just like before. Just under 30 seconds go by as the light expands to cover her entire body. Then, the bright white mana disperses out into the open dungeon air. Maria falls to the ground covered in sweat, with pale skin, and breathing heavily just like Abby did before. She has a thin smile across her face as she catches herself from hitting the ground with an open palm. The green-haired healer runs over, placing both hands on Maria's back and activating her restore skill. Another flash of green and white light appears, fading quickly to reveal both of the girls standing upright and giggling to each other less than a second later. Maria is completely healed. After a sigh of relief, I whisper under my breath, "Incredible!" Abby stretches her arms and speaks directly to Maria. "So how do you feel?" Maria looks down at her hands, then back up at all of us before replying. "It's like I've slept a full night after a good day of training. I'm fully healed, and if anything feel even stronger." I nod slowly, confirming to myself that the mana output of the shards does in fact move through the user's body, adding to their overall mana control capabilities. Ari speaks up. "All right, so what are we waiting for? We need to go farm as many of these beasts as possible. At this rate, we could get a year's worth of mana control training done in just a few hours. I nod in agreement. If we split up and head in opposite directions, we can cover more ground. Eventually, I'll be able to teleport us to each new target so we can spawn kill these ogres. Abby replies, taking out her daggers and twirling them around her fingers. I say we forget about sleeping tonight. This whole mission is on a time crunch. We need to get to Solara in under 2 days, so we need to make every hour count. Ari looks up at the light blue-tinted sky, thinking to himself for a moment. From here, the capital is still over 18 hours away if I remember correctly. We have time, we'll just need to take turns resting on the way over. It'll be close, but this will be worth I smirk, taking my sword out and letting a small black flame flicker on the tip of it. Perfect. Let's get to work. Without wasting any more time, I activate my enemy detection skill and locate 6 ogres between 900 m and 1300 m away deeper into the canyon. Turning to my left, I sense another 3 wandering up on a nearby portion of the mountain we passed earlier about 1500 m away. Up the rocky ledge covered in streams of crystal clear water, I sense an opponent much different than the rest. Actually, the more I search, the more peculiar readings pop up on my radar further into the dungeon. I turn back to the canyon and point my sword down the wide stone trail. There are 6 more, at similar levels all within about a kilometer straight ahead. You take those out, and I'll take care of a few up on the mountain. I turn to point at the towering white and green peak, then continue. I'll get it done quickly and meet down there once you've finished those monsters off. By then, I'll have some teleport points set up for my skill to make farming a lot faster. It's the perfect plan. Everyone agrees and we immediately part ways. I activate my wind magic and start air-stepping into the sky towards the 3 blue ogres up on the mountaintop while my teammates turn to face their fights down below. Less than 10 minutes pass as I fly through the light shrubbery and jagged rock walls to make my way up the mountainside. Before I know it, a large natural pool of shallow water appears in my vision below as I float carefree through the cool dungeon air. There's a flat portion of a mountainside that opens up to a nature-dense clearing, including a crystal-clear pond. 2 5-meter-tall blue ogres carrying heavy clubs just happen to be standing in the middle of this beautiful sight. Both of them stare at me with bright blue glowing eyes, ankle-deep in the still water. Everything changes the moment I airstep into range. Splashing water around them and grunting aggressively while keeping their eyes locked on me, the 2 monsters begin to mindlessly run toward me. Dense mana shielding leaks off of both of them. Swirling blue and white patterns of energy trail the beasts as one makes its way in front of the other. I begin to make my ascent while charging my sword and inspecting them both. LV 442. LV 439. With a 1500 MP strike at the ready, I release it just before landing on the ground with a thud. It glides forward in silence and hits the first ogres at point-blank range in the chest. The swirling shielding around it wavers and reacts, but there's nothing it can do. The slightest buzz can be heard as the densest part of its defenses scrapes the outer layer of my energy blade, but does little to slow it down. Without any clear visual resistance, the black blade of flames slices both ogres in half in an instant. Loud splashes and thuds follow as their bodies fall into the shallow pond, staining the water bright red. Level up! Level up! I let out a sigh, then slowly walk over to the 2 dissolving bodies, igniting my lower body with flames to evaporate the water around my feet before every step. Well, that was easy. I find 2 identical white gems and use appraisal before placing them in the item box around my waist. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. They're both 50k MP shards, but these 2 base-level mobs aren't the reason for coming all the way up here in such a hurry. I turn further up the rocky mountainside while activating my inspect, appraisal, and enemy detection skills. 4 450M. LV. 478. Active items. Blue Ogre's armor set, plus 1800 defense. Blue Ogre's axe, plus 1550 strength. Active skills. Body hardening. Extreme strength. The mutant up ahead is what I came to see. Chapter 236. 450M. LV. 478. Active items. Blue Ogre's armor set, plus 1800 defense. Blue Ogre's axe, plus 1550 strength. Active skills. Body hardening. Extreme strength. The mutant up ahead is what I came to see. Activating my all-seeing eye, the mana radiating off this new monster is almost double that of the ones that were just defeated. I airstep faster and faster up the mountainside, whizzing past small trees and pools of water, clearing rock faces in a matter of seconds. I accelerate upwards, even faster through the thick mana-dense air until reaching another clearing, now over halfway up the entire mountain. The creature I'm searching for is already in mid-sprint, running at me with a glistening silver axe between both of its hands and thick armor to match it. This ogre seems to be almost exactly the same size as the previous ones I faced, but with a few major differences. Firstly, its color. The blue skin covering the mutant's body is incredibly dark. From a distance, it almost looks black. The mana swirling around its body is much brighter white, and using my perception skill, I can tell the shielding that's layering this monster is on a level magnitudes above the base mobs. Its shining metallic axe reflects the blue glow from its eyes while running at me on a flat section of the mountain trail. I glide down to the ground and grip my sword. The white stone and green shrubbery beneath its feet fly off to the sides, uprooting small trees and causing craters to be left behind after every step. Thin wisps of blue magic residue are left in its tracks. The air pressure around me shifts and I burst into flames, activating all of my buffs and creating a thin pink layer of mana shielding around my body and sword, realizing that this opponent is definitely a class above the rest. I haven't even let out a strike yet, but I don't think a single hit will be all it takes to defeat the mutant before me. Both my feet hit the hard rocky surface and I start ruining at the approaching monster with a grin plastered across my face. There are less than 30 meters between us, and all I can see or think about is the fight that's about to take place. It lets out a roar, swinging its axe downward while swirling blue and white magic flows from its arms to cover the silver blade. I do the same, shifting some of my bright pink MP to cover my sword while jumping up and swinging my blade. I charge the center with 1500 MP worth of dark black flames. Both of our weapons stop in midair, less than a meter away from each other as the dense blue and pink layers of mana collide. An ear-shattering twang is released that echoes all the way down the mountainside, sending a light purple shockwave through my body and the ogre's. Fractions of a second later, there's a bright white flash of light and I feel my sword make contact with the monster's axe. I let out a loud laugh, then grit my teeth as the monster roars back at me. My eyes meet its stone-cold gaze. I feel my muscles straining to hold my sword steady. Digging deeper, activating my plunder skill, I use the blue mana all around me to charge up more of my own. More and more black fire leaks from my blade. It starts to cover the axe that I push against. Air stepping forward for more force, clenching my jaw, and pushing the massive metal axe backward 1 millimeter at a time. Victory is right before my eyes. As I begin to get the upper hand, the blue ogre starts to glow with a gold tint and pushes its axe back down toward me. I'm losing ground all of a sudden because of its extreme strength skill. Our level gap isn't that large. This monster must have some insanely high natural strength stats. At this revelation, I jump back, air stepping up into the air to take in the sight before me. The monster carries through, thrusting the massive axe into the ground below where I previously stood. Rock breaks and fragments of light blue aura fly around the scene, leaving residue on everything it touches. Almost immediately, the monster turns back toward me to show off its white overgrown fangs, and keeps its gaze laser-focused upwards, waiting for me to fall. I nod slowly. Not bad. It was a pretty strong clash and felt good to actually be countered by a monster for once. Unfortunately, I'll still have to wait a bit longer for a fight that really pushes my limits. It may be strong, but the monster's speed and agility are horribly low. Dungeon Walker. Using its own plundered mana, I concentrate nearly my full MP Bart into a concise attack. Channeling all of my energy into the tip of my sword, then teleport down to the backside of the ogre to thrust my sword deep into the gap in its armor right above the neck. There's an explosion of white and blue light, followed by red and black flames erupting from the beast's body that finishes with an agonizing roar. As the monster turns in anger, swinging its axe around to swat me away, but I teleport out of its range to drink an MP potion and wait for the fiery debris to clear. As it does, I see a furious flaming ogre with blood gushing down its armored body with blue eyes glowing brighter and brighter. It mimics the style of mana control I just used on it, moving the swirling energy around its legs, torso, and arms into its axe. This leaves its body exposed, but creates a weapon of mass destruction. I can hear the loud buzz of dense energy coming my way and estimate that there's over 70 kmp being wielded carelessly in its blade. The rest swirls around its body in weak spirals. With crimson liquid draining from its neck at an alarming rate, the ogre makes an effort to take me out without wasting any more time. I respect its attempt, but it's going to need to be a bit more intelligent to pull a feat like this off. Dungeon Walker. I blipped behind the charging monster and let over 2000 MP worth of mana-imbued flames into the back of the bleeding monster's already injured point to finish it off once and for all. Fire, flesh, and swirling magic fill the air as I teleport backward again to get clear of the impact zone. A final cry from the mutant can be heard until it's snuffed out and interrupted by the ringing sound in my ears. Level up! Level up! I grin, deactivating my skills while barely watching the massive cloud of debris settle to the dungeon floor. All of my strength buffs and 2 nearly full power strikes to take it out. If this monster was any smarter, it probably would have taken a lot more. I walk over as the pieces of scattered flesh disappear from the white rock, small pools of blood-stained water, and lush green plants. Then, right in front of me, less than 10 meters away, another white gem sits on the dungeon floor. It feels just like the other 2 shards I collected from the ogres on the mountainside opening below, but it's almost twice the weight. It glows brighter white and the blue magic that seeps from it is much darker. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. Blue Ogre's Essence, Shard. Info: a shard of the Blue Ogre's Essence. Excess mana from a Blue Ogre dungeon has been contained in crystal form. Class: B. Type: consumable.
Durability, MP output. 99.4K lomítko 99.4K.
I expected as much, but it's still surprising to see such an increase in the MP output in a single crystal. This one is getting on borderline dangerous levels, and may not be safe for consumption just yet. I throw it into my item storage for safekeeping though. It could possibly be used for some kind of crafting recipe in the future. That's what Abby's intel from the association said before we got here. It could have just been a cover-up in the report to keep anyone snooping from coming out here, but I'd like to check with an experienced crafter to make sure. I shrug, then turn back to the canyon down below me. Activating my enemy detection skill, I can see that my teammates are just about to meet their targets. I have a bit more time. Perfect. Air-stepping away, I make my way up to the top of the mountain to set more valid teleport points for my Dungeon Walker skill to travel. Over the next 15 minutes, I take out 2 more sets of base-level Blue Ogres while making my way down the other side of the mountain, collecting their 4 shards and placing them in my item box. The new EXP I gain from these new fights brings me up to level 432. With 6 shards ready for consumption, and one mutant's shard in my storage, I teleport back to the edge of the canyon to start flying down the smooth, sloping path. My teammates are waiting for me down below, and their enemies have all been defeated. We have less than 2 days to make it to the capital. It's time to make the most of our time left. This farming session is about to get serious. Chapter 237. I run down the canyon's stone path using wind magic to accelerate my movements. High white stone walls fly by on my sides, and the reading on my enemy detection skill of my teammates nearby gets closer and closer. Soon, I see the 3 of them waiting beneath a small stone overhang on a very flat section of rocky ground. Each of them holds 2 glowing crystals in their open palms. I wave while making my way over, then take the 6 base-level gems from my item box as well. Ari is the first to speak as I glide to a halt. Anything interesting out there? One mutant, but it wasn't an issue. I have its shard saved in my storage. It's a bit more powerful than the others. Then I pause. Well, it may be an issue. If any of you want to be able to face one of those, I think you'll need to consume at least. I look up at the sky doing a few calculations. Well, you'll have to each consume at least 300 of these shards. Ari nods, replying almost immediately without a shred of doubt. That's what I was thinking as well. If they're much more powerful than these base levels, I'd have to agree. 300 shards equals about 15 million MP. If I consume that much, my control will nearly double. Abby speaks up. If I take in 15 million more MP, I'll be over 3 times as powerful than I am now. Maria chimes in last. Same. 3 times for me too. I nod slowly, thinking to myself about my past training sessions in the Titan's domain. On my last trial, I gained over 25 million MP, bringing my own controlled accumulated MP to around 50 million. For me to add 15 million, it would be a nice boost, but not a 2-3x addition like my teammates. There must be a way to get more. I speak up. Well, let's see how much we can handle. 1 shard at a time until we know for sure there's no side effects. Plus, we have to see if Abby can actually use her skill indefinitely. There has to be a limit, right? We all nod in agreement, then look down at the glowing white gems in our hands. I turn to the archer. Well, I think it's our turn. How about it? He smirks, placing 2 gems in an item box and tossing the other in his mouth without hesitating for a second. After a gulp, he responds while taking a step back. I was thinking exactly the same thing. Maria and Abby jump backward as I laugh, throwing 2 of my gems into my item box and swallowing 1 whole while stepping away from all 3 of them as well. Now, let's see what these can really do. A few seconds pass, then a warm feeling starts to form in my chest. A white glow grows in its place and begins to shine brighter and brighter. It's not nearly as erratic and violent as a strengthening fragment. I was expecting much worse. All of the mana from this tiny gem is filling my chest with smooth and controlled pure light. It begins to flow into my shoulder and down my arms like trickles of water. The slow drip of mana falls down my legs as well. Over 10 seconds pass and the flowing mana grows more and more until the slow drips turn into fast-moving streams of steady magic coursing through my veins. My entire body lights up, making a bright white silhouette in the blue-tinted dungeon. I can feel every individual particle of the warm magic flowing through me, mixing with my own dormant MP supplies, and now beginning to drift out of my body at a constant rate. It feels like I'm using my mana manipulation skill to create shielding. Instead of holding it like a barrier, it just flies off to be free. An odd sensation to say the least. Not painful at all, but the wasted MP just flowing out into the open dungeon is an uncomfortable sensation. Usually, when exerting this much mana, there's a purpose behind it. Now, I'm being forced to use mana for the sake of using it. After just under 30 seconds pass, I can tell the process is coming to an end. My body feels like it's being sucked dry of energy. Every last drop of pure white mana is flowing out into the open dungeon air until the MP bar hits 0. To avoid the lightheaded, unmotivating feeling of having an empty MP bar, I activate Plunderer and begin taking in energy from the swirling, dense air around us. I haven't tried this method of MP restoration in a dungeon for a while, but the dense mana-filled air around me makes it feel like just the right time. It works. Slowly and inefficiently, but it works. My plunder skill brings in about 100 MP over the next few seconds as I steady my stance and let my eyes adjust back to the atmosphere around me. To my left, Ari is kneeling on the floor breathing heavily. Abby runs over to start healing him with Restore. A bright green and white light fills half my vision as I peer down at my empty hands, still a bit flustered. It sure feels like I just used 50k MP. My body tingles a bit, and the sensation of mana overuse fatigue is beginning to set in. This is how I feel when I release too many MP imbued attacks in a row too quickly. The after effects are just like a strengthening fragment, but a bit less extreme. A quick self-regeneration would heal me up almost all the way up back to full, letting me continue my training. I'm able to handle nearly 1,000,000 MP in a single day if I really push the limits, but that's not the point of all this. This is about Abby's power. Could help me surpass my limits. I nod firmly at the ground, then raise my head to meet the green-haired healer's gaze as she begins to walk over to me. Ari stands up, looking refreshed, while taking an MP potion out of his item box and drinking it before coming to watch. Abby speaks up. Looks like you're able to handle the shards a bit more efficiently than the rest of us. She comes around my back and places both hands firmly on my shoulders. I begin to feel another warm sensation. This time, the energy entering my body feels like it belongs to me. It's much different than the shard from a moment ago that felt like a foreign mana source leaving. Abby's green and white mana is welcoming and cozy, seeping into my entire body and becoming one with the skin, bones, and muscles. Seconds later, the light stops and I let out a refreshing gasp, opening my eyes wide. I'm completely healed. I move my arms around and hop around, not sensing any sign of fatigue or minor pain. None remains. With a grin ear to ear, I turn to meet Abby's green eyes and speak. There's really no downside for you to use this skill? We can just heal over and over again as long as we have the MP. She shrugs. So far, that seems to be the case. You three are the only one that knows about this. I only unlocked this legendary grade rank recently. She pauses, looking around at the others, then back to me. Other than the few minor tests I did alone with some MP potions in the Capital's training rooms last week, I don't have any other data. Whatever we figure out today is all new to me too. Maria jumps in, disregarding our conversation and grabbing Abby's hand. Our turn, let's go. Ari joins in, taking out his other 2 gems and lifting them in the air. Let's take turns and consume these as fast as possible. He turns to me. Then we'll have to farm a lot more. On that note, Maria and Abby both start their next shard consumption processes. Just 30 seconds later, Ari and I go for it again. A few minutes pass and each of us has grown a little stronger just from a few flashes of light. Abby heals each of us with ease, and there's no sign of fatigue on her end or ours. This is going to work. I activate my enemy detection skill, and being searching the dungeon for more ogres within my teleportation range. I've cast a wide net all the way around the largest mountain in the dungeon. It's a perfect place for new monsters to respawn and wander in from the surrounding land. The twisting tunnels and paths of the canyon we're in are filled with new monsters as well. I can sense 4 more nearby and another 6 deep in the mountains. We hash out a plan and all take out our weapons, preparing to fight. They all grab a hold of me and we begin. Dungeon Walker. Over the next 3 hours, we blip back and forth from the canyon below, to high up in the mountains, and even back to the waterfall-covered region near the dungeon start point. I leave each of them with opponents they're able to handle, and come back once they've collected the shard to teleport them to another. In my downtime, while waiting for my teammates to kill their targets, I explore the dungeon further to keep expanding my teleportation range. There are incredible rivers and valleys or crystal clear water, enormous waterfalls, and hidden alcoves. Everything is tinted light blue by the dungeon's magic. The longer we fight, the denser and darker the blue tint becomes. It's only just slightly, but there's a difference. I can't tell if we're just heading deeper into the dungeon and it's a natural phenomenon, or if the excess mana released by us farming is changing the environment. We fight 188 ogres in total, and surprisingly, I only find 2 more mutants. They both drop larger shards, but no other new gear just yet. The base mobs, on the other hand, drop 3 large clubs. A 2% drop rate is low, but the item has a 1250 plus strength buff. It's one of the highest I've ever seen, so it must go for an excellent price. Abby holds onto the gear for now. I make it to level 445, and my teammates share a similar success. Each of us consumes over 2.3 million mana and we're refreshed, good as new by Abby's skill. This is more than double the output I've ever consumed in a single day, and it feels like I'm just waking on a freshly healed body after every restore. At this rate, we'll be able to hit our goal of 15 million each within 24 hours. It'll give us just enough time to make it to Solara. Assuming all goes as planned. Chapter 238. The 4 of us stand in a small circle after consuming our last batch of ogre shards, concluding the first 3 hours of our training session. Over 2.3 million MP each has been consumed, and I feel more energized and ready to battle than when we started. Abby's skill has always been a bit odd to me. It says restore rather than heal, like many of the other healers. It may be a unique skill. Maria hops around, glowing bright blue after we've all fully rested. I feel incredible, guys. This is more mana than I've ever consumed. It's like months of training in a couple hours. Ari chimes in. You're right. I can already feel a difference. If we keep improving at this rate, we'll be able to take the ogres out even faster every hour. Abby is the last to talk, but she has a worried look on her face. How many MP potions do each of you have left? At the rate I'm using mine, I won't be able to continue healing you all and fight ogres much longer. Possibly 3 more hours at most. Maria stops hopping up and down, matching the healer's concerned look, then starts shuffling through her item box. I've run through about half my supply already too. I only have to use half as much to defeat an ogre now, but it still won't last more than 6 hours. I nod, considering the fact that the association loaded me up with 1 million MP worth of potions last week. They must have given my teammates a similar amount. Ari crosses his arms, speaking up. I have plenty. My skill didn't need an upgrade, so the director never handed me one of those fancy crystals. I was just given extra MP potions to go along with my training. He takes the item box off of his waist and pours out an absurd amount of small glass corked bottles with glowing pink liquid inside them. Take as much as you need. Although, by the time the sun rises tomorrow, I don't think MP potions will be much of a problem. We may be able to defeat these monsters in a single hit. My supplies are getting lower, but it's nothing to worry about. Having potions is not a necessity for me. Even if they hit 0, it wouldn't be a problem. Plundering MP from my opponent is always an option. Abby and Maria need these more than me. The 2 of them restock their supplies while I continue to think to myself, widening my perception skills range. I can't quite put my finger on it, but something feels different. There's more mana in the air, but I can't tell how much for certain. We're closer to the boss room, and the blue tint around us is almost identical to before, so it's very hard to put a number on it. I shrug, then speak up to my team as they talk amongst themselves, solving their MP potion problem without me. Ready for another run? After a nod of agreement from everyone, we're off to continue our farming. I keep expanding my teleport range little by little, moving closer to the back of the dungeon. I can sense the boss room portal way off in the distance, slowly swirling behind us as we hunt, but it doesn't feel much different than the actual dungeon air. If anything, the ogres that I'm fighting give off more MP radiation than the portal. Every 15 to 30 minutes, we all meet together for a quick shard consumption and restore session. Then I blip each party member off so we can get back to work. Over the next 3 hours, we manage to take out a total of 256 more ogres. The further in we travel, the more often groups of 3 or even 4 begin to pop up. I take out 5 mutants, levels 475 to 480 on my own, not wanting my teammates to get involved with this level of creature just yet. Overall, I make it to level 451 myself, and everyone gains 3.2 million MP in control progress. This is a significant increase from our last session. Once this 3-hour period comes to an end, we all take a break near a calm pool of water on top of a smaller mountain behind the first towering peak from earlier. Abby and Myra update us with their potion count. Then we consume the last of the ogre shards before Abby heals us. All 4 of us can sense the pressure of an invisible clock ticking away. On top of that, we're powering up so fast that the only thing on our minds is getting back out there to farm more. Even so, one thing that won't stop itching at the back of my mind is the increasing levels of mana in the air. We are moving closer to the boss room, and the mana density is much noticeably different now. Even when we're sitting alone, just the 4 of us off by a pond, it feels like an ogre is lurking nearby at all times. The density isn't very even. It's starting to surge through us in wisps of blue and white shimmering clouds. There was nothing like this at all when I first entered the dungeon. I'm keeping a close eye on it, but even if it gets out of hand, there's not much I can do. We all continue to venture off further into this odd break. Another 3 hours of farming pass, and we've nearly made it to the back edge of this pocket world. The swirling, drifting sea of magic that fills the air continues to grow thicker the more we hunt. The denser waves of magic are almost becoming more common than the areas of dungeon air without it. We defeat 307 ogres this round, plus 11 additional mutants. This is roughly 3.8 million MP each added to our control totals. Ari asks to fight one of the mutants in the middle of this session, so I bring him to one. The furious mutant ogre that he faces tears up the mountainside for over 200 meters in all directions with a supercharged axe. It sends shockwaves through the rock and makes the air around us waver and bend as it absorbs portions of the swirling clouds to add to its shielding. Even so, the total amount of mana surrounding its body decreases with every large attack it mindlessly throws. Recently, when I fought mutants, I wouldn't let them use their mana-imbued weapons much at all. Ari is fast enough to dodge and time his attacks to hit the monster's weak point from a distance. It gives me the chance to study them for once. With just 8 arrows to the vitals, the mutant blue ogre is slain. A curious thing I noticed when scanning the essence shard after it's dropped: the small white gem only has about 85 KMP inside of it. My only explanation for this would be the extra energy being exerted from its use of the axe when fully charged lowers the total MP stored in its shielding. Mana crystals never worked like this in the past. Even if a monster completely ran out of MP, it would drop the same-sized mana crystal. These aren't mana crystals, so the comparison clearly isn't perfectly accurate. After this brawl, and a few of my own run-ins with mutants, I'm at level 456. Ari is level 447. Abby and Maria are both level 445. We take another small break on top of a final small mountain. The boss room portal is off in the distance, less than 2 kilometers away now. After a brief food and water break, followed by a quick report of MP potion supplies, we begin our 4th farming run. I'm getting closer and closer to the back of the dungeon, and the air is almost completely filled with the dense waves of mana. In the open air, it feels like I'm standing less than 20 meters away from an ogre. The humming sound of mana fills my ears. The sensation makes it feel like I'm back in that white-walled prison of the Titan's domain. The blue tint is getting so thick that the visibility in the mountain is being affected. It's hard to see more than 200 meters away. Everything is covered with light blue fog. On the bright side, with so much more readily available mana in the air, my plunder skill allows me to absorb more and more. I don't even need to be near a monster to recharge my MP bar. I can do it out in the open air of the dungeon. We continue to grow stronger, taking out 389 blue ogres in total this run. That raised each of our consumption by almost 4.9 million more MP. In addition to this, 25 mutants appear. Abby and Maria face one together this round and manage to defeat it with a similar difficulty to the regular blue ogre they faced before this training session started. We've grown a lot. After 3 hours are up, we near our end goal. In total, each of us has consumed just under 15 million MP. It's been about 12 hours since we entered this dungeon, and nearly 24 hours since any of us last slept. The boss room portal is less than 500 meters away. It's hidden deep behind the thick blue fog, but I can feel it slowly swirling, awaiting our arrival. Now it's time for us to decide whether we face the boss and continue our journey to Solara, or keep pushing on with our training for a little longer. Chapter 239. I stare off into the thick blue fog ahead of me as we take our break after finishing the 4-3-hour farming session. My teammates are all waiting around nearby, eating food and getting ready for what's to come next. I can feel the boss room portal nearby, but there isn't much point in venturing any closer to it right now. We'll take that step once it's time to leave. In that last run, I hit level 460. The improvement in my mana control isn't as drastic as my teammates, but it has become noticeable. A mutant ogre can be taken out in just one hit if I concentrate. After stretching my arms and letting out a long yawn, I turn to my teammates. So how are we feeling? Up for more or dash? I'm cut off by a white glow that appears beside Abby in a pile of food, water, and loot. It's her transmission tablet. The small silver tablet is vibrating against the hard rock she sits on and creates an annoying buzz. Abby looks down at the silver contraption while picking it up, then looks back at me. I have a feeling our decision is about to be made for us. It shakes in her hand, and the white glow gets brighter and brighter. All four corner crystals begin to blink and shine until she answers the call. Hello? Director? It's Abby. What's with the urgent news? There's a long pause. I take a step closer to listen. Maria and Air start to walk in closer as well. Then, a woman's voice comes out of the metal box. Brutus is out for the time being. I'll be the one updating you from now on. The smooth, familiar voice of the blonde-haired assistant with the lie detector skill comes out of the small silver magic item moments later. I clench my fist at the sound of her voice. Whatever she's calling about, it can't be good. She continues. You're all needed at the Solara Labyrinth in exactly 18 hours. We've organized a raid in the morning with all able C-class hunters or higher hunters in the area. Abby replies with a stern tone. A raid? So there's more people here than just us and those two scouts? Who else are we working with? Our last run-in with locals' descent exactly goes smoothly. Another pause follows. Then the woman's voice projects from the small silver box again. Indeed, there was word of a small mix-up in Dry Rock, but it shouldn't be an issue. We've arranged to temporarily work with the Solaran government. They'll be sending out some of their top-rated hunters to join us on the raid. I nod hesitantly, thinking to myself, if they couldn't handle it themselves by now, I'm not sure just how effective these Solaran top hunters will really be. Also, I'm finding it increasingly hard to believe they're just going to let go of the damages done in Dry Rock. Even if it was their fault to begin with, they will most definitely push the blame on us. The female assistant continues. The support teams may not be able to help with the final boss fight, but help in numbers will be very effective on the lower floors. There's another long, awkward pause before she continues. The director has put a lot of faith in the four of you. Please, make it to the Section 4 capital before daybreak tomorrow. There will be a squad waiting to greet you in the lobby of the Tower of Dreams. I hope you'll be able to find it. Ari smirks, then replies, I know exactly where the Tower of Dreams is. Right beside the Tower of Strength and behind the Tower of Light. She replies, Excellent. We've left a restock of MP and HP potions for you if necessary. So don't feel like you need to save any up for the mission. Use whatever is necessary to take out the 5th dungeon break swiftly and be on your way. There's a click and the transmission tablet stops glowing completely. All 4 crystals go dark and the assistant's voice stops coming through. I look around at my teammates to see they're all very visually tired. I think the confirmation that we need to be leaving soon set us all off. My eyes are threatening to shut during breaks and my reaction time during battle is most definitely slowing. There's still an immense power gap between the ogres in the dungeon and myself, so it's not much of a problem, but facing a mutant boss in this state would still be risky. Maria speaks up to all of us. Do we really have to leave? We could get so much stronger here if we just stayed a little longer. It feels like a waste to abandon this dungeon just because the association says so. Ari replies after a long yawn. I agree, but we need to get to Solara by daybreak. By the urgency of these calls, it seems like need all the help they can get. Even if we leave right now and travel at full speed, 18 hours is a tight deadline. Abby begins to speak but bites her lower lip and stares at the floor. We're all thinking the same thing. We want to get stronger, but there's a lot on the line here. I have a plan, but it includes asking Ember for help. So to keep my teammates out of it, they'll have to be left in the dark a little bit. It's for the better. I have an idea, but it won't make much sense. We can make it to Solara on time and farm the dungeon to its full potential. Abby looks up. What do you mean? What is it? I step closer, scratching my chin. Well, the three of you could start heading over now and I'll farm this dungeon for another half a day. I can bring the remaining shards to Solara before the morning. I have a way to make it there quickly and quietly, but I can't bring anyone else along. The green-haired healer looks at me with a confused yet curious stare. Then, Maria chimes in without any hesitation. That sounds like a good plan to me. If Jay says he can do it, then Jay can do it. Ari speaks next. I know you can travel fast with that wind ability, but do you know the way? Even with a map, the desert isn't always easy to navigate. I reply with a shrug. Just travel north, right? He lets out a laugh. I mean, I guess so. There is a border up north, so you can't really overshoot the capital. You'll just have to walk along the abyss until you find the city. He looks up in the blue-tinted dungeon sky, then uncrosses his arms, putting them on his waist, then turning back to me. Yeah, I guess you can't miss it. I trust you'll find your way. You always do. The archer and Maria both look at Abby, waiting for her response. She tightens her lips and lets out a sigh. If you're positive you can farm a considerable amount of shards and still make it back to us in time, then sure. It works for me too. I am looking forward to getting some sleep, so I'm not exactly upset about this arrangement. She shows me an exhausted grin, then walks over and throws a hand on my shoulder. Take us back when you're ready. Although Abby's power heals MP and HP instantly, also negating any mana fatigue, there seems to be one thing it can't restore. Natural sleep. Maria grabs onto my other shoulder. I'm ready when you are too. I'm looking forward to taking a long rest too. Ari rolls his eyes and walks over, placing one hand on my right arm. Looks like I'm taking the first waking shift to make sure we're on course. I'll sleep eventually. Both Maria and Abby laugh as I teleport us back to the dungeon start point to find the exit portal. The moment we make it back, we're all caught off guard by the landscape. It's completely covered in thick blue magical fog, just like where we left. It's almost impossible to see further than 100 meters away. Apparently, my predictions from earlier were correct. The mana in the air wasn't just getting denser because we traveled further into the dungeon. The entire break's atmosphere is changing. I whisper under my breath. I knew it. We don't have much time to farm this break either way. The four of us step out, back into the open desert, and I see the red portal swirling much more violently than it was before. More and more blue dungeon mass is being spewed from the edges of the rings and dissolving into the open air. An audible hum of mana can be heard from the outside, matching the hum of mana that could be heard from within. The break has gotten considerably worse since we entered. The sun is rising, and the hint of day's heat is starting to creep over the horizon. The sandy ground beneath our feet is still cool from the night, but it won't be for long. My team gets situated on their camels, and I wave them off, swearing I'll meet them before they even make it to Solara. Ari takes both of the reins, leading the camels as I watch both Abby and Maria drift off to sleep before they even leave my field of view. I watch them head off into the open desert, then turn back to the blood-red dungeon portal behind me. I re-enter the blue ogre break, then open my item storage to let Ember stretch his wings. Welcome back. We have some work to do. Chapter 240. Welcome back. We have some work to do. The black-scaled dragon comes flying out of my swirling white spatial magic portal, immediately opening his telepathic link with me. Good to see you again, Master. What a mana-rich dungeon. Where could this be? A toothy grin forms across Ember's face as he begins to flap his wings to hover higher up in the sky. The majestic creature begins to glow a light red tint, showing that his plunder skill has been activated. He absorbs a few thousand MP from the air, then continues to speak. This is very pure as well, and our level. We're nearing my next rank up faster than expected. I'm pleased with this progress. I nod, struggling to keep my eyes from closing. The fact that I'll soon get a moment to rest is making me more and more tired by the second. Sleep is within sight. I chuckle, then respond. We have grown a bit, and I'm exalted from fighting. I'd like for you to farm in this dungeon while I rest. It's not very large, so I trust you'll be able to cover the landscape rather quickly. Ember lifts his head, then replies, This is a rank 3 dungeon. You're aware of this, right? These are very rare to be spawned outside of a labyrinth. Truthfully, a waste of mana. I raise an eyebrow, then shake my head, realizing sleep will have to wait a little longer. A rank 3 dungeon? A waste of mana? What do you mean by all of this exactly? Ember stops glowing red and glides down to the floor. Well, I guess humans would call a rank 3 dungeon a B-class dungeon. It just means the boss monster is over level 500. This indicates that it has ranked up. There's a moment of silence, and the buzzing, swirling mana around us feels like it just grows louder. I reply, All right, so it'll just be a lot stronger? Ember pauses. Something like that. Usually, the rank 3 upgrade is a very noticeable one. An additional hidden ability or skill is awarded to all monsters that hit rank 3. In addition to that, it's very common for rank 3 monsters to wield some level of tier 2 mana control. My eyes open wide with curiosity. Tier 2. The Black Dragon nods. The ability to absorb mana from the surrounding dungeon and wield it as their own. He looks up at the thick blue fog-covered sky. I join in for a moment, trying to picture what tier 2 mana control would look like. Is that what these ogres have been doing in the dungeon? Using some advanced form of mana control to wield the mana in the air? If so, it doesn't seem like they're very good at it. The blue ogres just leave large amounts of mana resting all around their body, not consuming it at a very fast rate at all. Even the mutants need work. Maybe the boss will be different, but I'm not too impressed just yet. I shrug, then reply, We'll face that challenge when it comes. For now, I really need to get some rest. We'll be facing the real body of that archdemon soon. Right? Ember turns his head from the sky back down to me very quickly with a look of concern. You're not ready. I tighten my gaze. You were excited to face it back in that other dungeon, why not now? And how did you even know it was a demon in the first place? Ember looks back up at the sky, then starts to glow light red again. Monsters have a distinct scent or mana signature, especially demons and their cores. That's why it's easy to confuse a demon with a human that has absorbed its core. Archdemons give off their own special mana signature that only dungeon monsters can sense. That's why I knew it was near. It seemed to be in a very weakened state when we came across it, so I thought we may have caught a lucky break. I nod as Ember continues. They're known for being extremely intelligent beings. It figures that it'd just be leading you to it. This is an elaborate trap. I'm sure you're well aware. I reply. The moment I saw it was a body double, I realized something was up. Trap or not, I want that skill and I want its core. How powerful could the real body even be? Ember looks back at me, showing me his deep crimson red eyes. More powerful than anything you can comprehend. That floor boss you defeated last week does not even compare. We need to rank up before facing it at full power, no questions. I gulp, but the corners of my lips curl into a smile. Well, that's why we're here. Ember nods. I could tell as much. It seems the monsters here must drop large amounts of compact MP. Are you looking to collect them as you sleep? Where are your teammates and what's the rush? Well, I airstep up to hop on Ember's back. I'll tell you the whole story. We begin to fly up the dungeon's closest mountain peak while I fill Ember in on all the details of the association's time crunch and the new revelation about Abby's restore skill. Ember takes in all this information and understands exactly what he has to do. Collect as many shards as possible while I sleep. The more he can farm, the better chances we have of being strong enough to face the labyrinth's final archdemon boss. I create shelter in a mountainside, covering the outsides in dense earth magic. making sure to leave small holes for air and dungeon light. I lay out all my old sleeping supplies in my item storage, making the hard rocky ground much more comfortable. The moment I close my eyes, I fall asleep. Time passes as I drift off. I'm not exactly sure how much time, but when my eyes finally open, all I can see is the color blue. A loud, horribly annoying buzz fills my ears. Then it's all interrupted by a more familiar ringing. Level up. Rubbing my eyes. My status opens to show I've grown to level 481 in my sleep. 21 more levels. I was expecting to gain a few, but this is a lot. Immediately, I open up the shelter I've built using earth magic. But the blue veil covering my eyes doesn't go away. It's all pure mana, and it's very thick. Visibility before I went to sleep was over 100 meters. Now it's less than 1. I use my all-seeing eye and let it stretch out to the far edges of the dungeon until I find Ember happily burning through blue ogres in a deep valley. Using my enemy detection skill and inspect, I can see that they're all mutants. There isn't a single base-level mob in sight. I open top my telepathic link and call out into the blue void. Ember, can you hear me? Immediately I sense the dragon stop his battle against half a dozen mutants and fly up into the sky before responding. Yes, Master. How was your sleep? I use Dungeon Walker to teleport nearby, then airstep up towards the flaming dragon in the sky before responding. Good. How long was I out? And what's going on here? I can't see a thing. Ember chuckles slowly as I land on his back. Then he flaps his wings, taking us to the closest mountain peak nearby. You've been out for just over 9 hours. I've farmed just over 500 of these monsters. They're quite strong. Our level has increased a lot. The only downside is this dungeon is filling up with excess mana very quickly. I reply, yes, very quickly. What was only a foggy mist before makes it hard to see my hands right in front of my face. Ember continues, I would have absorbed it, but then fewer monsters would have spawned. So I decided to let this rank 3 dungeon run its course. The boss room will be much more rewarding that way. I assumed you would want a good fight. We arrive near the top of a high peak, and I can see a bright white glow coming from below. I begin to answer but stop mid-sentence while mesmerized by the sight before me. The closer we get, the brighter it becomes until we hit the rocky ground with a loud thud. The source of this bright white light reveals itself to me, leaving my mouth wide open. It's the pile of blue ogre shards Ember has farmed all this time. The amount of them isn't what leaves me in shock. Ember told me he farmed just over 500 already. I jump off his back and plunge a hand into the piles of gems, scanning all of them, then turn my head in the direction of the presumably grinning dragon. These are all from mutants, every last one of them. This break is completely out of control. Ember replies in a cheerful, satisfied tone. Indeed, it is.